Need more streaming power upgrade. We're not streaming. I got this thing.
Is that what it's?
How are you?
Yeah, good. You?
Yeah, well, I'm slowly recuperating my voice.
Yeah.
Still a bit, my voice is a bit hoarse, but it's fine. I have like tissues and like cough things here, like in just in case.
Yeah, it's the season. Well, it's always the season, isn't it?
Right, yeah. And also, since we're already recording anyway, I let my window slightly open, otherwise I would die in the heat of the heat wave of
Likewise.
London. Yeah.
Likewise.
We might hear, guys, some birds. My street is quiet, actually. So, So let's wish us.
I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
Yeah, we will need some good luck.
Now more than ever.
I want to make a warm welcome to your brother.
Yes. Yeah. Will is here, and he's moved to England 3 weeks ago.
That's amazing.
And for the first time, the three brothers are in the same place since 1990. It'll be the first time since 1990.
Holy cow. Is he living nearby as well, right?
Yes, he lives in the same town as Andrew and I, so it's great. It's lovely to feel so close.
We need to do an episode when he comes back then, with you. Even with the two brothers, it would be amazing to have like a foursome, I guess.
Yeah.
That would be, we never had Andrew. People saw him on Attaché, if you've ever watched this little show that is on YouTube. You should if you haven't. So let's start with my plans got completely upended with what happened, but I'll tell that in a minute. Let's start with reviews. We don't do those anymore, but this one was really nice from Irish Travel Guy on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What makes Paul and Alex such great hosts is that they are friends who share a passion for air travel and allow us to join them as they share their latest escapades to one another with not too much emphasis on delivering news headlines. Thank you. We try.
Yeah, that we did kind of characterize it like that at the beginning, didn't we? Saying it was like somebody slid a microphone between us when we were just having our normal conversations.
Right, exactly. And it's true, we have veered off from the early years of trying to do more news. Now we're like, we're riffing around, which is much better, actually. We have a lot more people appreciating that format. I have another review. I don't know if I've done it because I don't track them. That was 2 months ago from KTJ7 from the US, 5 stars. Such amazing storytelling. I love listening to them. And 2-hour-long episodes is a dream. Perfect podcast. So I don't know if I've done it already, but Katie, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And for once, someone who appreciates us doing 2 hours and more. And so to start, the usual music for Can I? Welcome to London is in London this week.
Oh, fantastic. Enjoy the weather.
Yeah, enjoy the weather. We're having a mini heat wave, right?
It's gorgeous.
Is
gorgeous.
it?
It's wonderful.
Right? It's lovely. I'm enjoying this a lot, actually. And it's going to go even higher this weekend. We're recording this on June the 17th, 2025. We're on a Tuesday, and I think on Sunday it's going to be 31 in London.
Oof, yeah, London is not made for that, but you know what? I'll take it.
I'll take it as well.
I will take it.
I just came back from holidays, so I'm happy to stay in the same kind of weather. I'll tell the story a bit later. Look, Irish, what was his name? I got to scroll back up. Irish Travel Guy from the UK, actually. Irish Travel Guy tells us we're not too much emphasis on delivering news headlines, but I don't think we can avoid it. And that's the impending of the thing I wanted to talk this week. That crash, that tragedy. We kind of have to. We're not going to speculate or anything, but still we have to acknowledge that this is quite, wow. I don't know. I'm lacking words, actually. This is not expected, of course, but also I didn't know how to react. I mean, wow.
Yeah, it. No matter how many times I kind of hold it in my hand and turn it over and look at it, it's just so strange on so many levels.
Right.
You know, beyond the tragic nature of it and the staggering amount of lives lost, and the miracle, frankly, of this one sole survivor.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Relatively unscathed.
Yeah.
There's so many strange nooks and crannies to this event that I think we're going to be talking about it for many months, if not years, to come.
Yeah, a long time. And what a tragedy. Of course, in this day and age, you got footage very, very, very quickly, which is harrowing.
Yes.
It's, I don't know, man. It's the one thing, first of all, the 2 black boxes have now been found. So we should have a preliminary report within the next 3 to 4 weeks. Is usually what happened. There's some, and I'm sure Boeing is keen. For those who've lived under a rock, it's a Boeing 7878. Was it a dash?
Yeah.
That crashed just after takeoff from in India, an Air India flight. I was saying, I'm sure that Boeing is very keen to have something out to simply maybe say that it's not their fault. We don't know. That's the only thing I was a little bit disappointed about. I was about to say more than disappointed, but I'll stay diplomatic because I'm Swiss, right? Is that there were so many, prominent. I'm not talking about the random Joes that we are that would go, and we didn't on Twitter and elsewhere, that were running with theories out of 1 and then 2 grainy videos out of, evidently it's a pilot error, evidently the flaps, blah, 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 blah. You don't see jack shit on these videos, man. I mean...
No, they were filmed on a potato. But you're right. You're so right. I mean, it wasn't this sort of asking questions like, does it look like this or isn't that strange? It was
telling us
this is what's happened based on my interpretation of an 8-second long video,
zoomed in,
video.
And then even people had like, I've AI enhanced, as if AI doesn't invent shit when you enhance stuff,
exactly.
right? And then like, and it was, I'm not going to name names, is not the point, but showing up and having a uniform, a staff uniform, and telling the truth about what was happening, and then backtracking, because I'm like, no, just don't. I mean, like you said, asking questions. We've done it. First, I mean, you and me done it, but we've done it privately. I mean, like everybody.
Exactly.
I think it's very human to wanting to explain the unexplainable, because literally it's unexplainable. When you see that, you're like, what the hell happened here? Yeah. So it's normal. I think it's human nature to want to ask questions, So we riffed off to each other, but that's not something that we would do here. Not that we have any influence whatsoever anyway. But I was a little bit disappointed to see some blog posts for very prominent bloggers, or I realize that nowadays you got to be first to have the likes and the ad revenue, I guess. But because some of these things held truth. The reason I'm saying that here is like so many friends of mine that are not at all, watching the news about anything aviation related. They're not even listening to this podcast, but they sent me messages. So the pilot made this error. And I'm like, so no, but the thing is, because it was this first theories became truth for many people. And it's a bit sad because, I'm going to add, that's similar what happened with the crashes of the Maxes back in the day. Back in the day, that was 2018. It's not that long ago, but there was always something that always bugs me, undertones of, it's India. Like, it's Ethiopia.
It's racism.
Indonesia. Like a bit of the West cannot do wrong, but all these countries, of course, it's going to be them. Of course. And you're like, it's more complicated than that. And you were telling me yourself, you were reading a book that I've also read, Concord.
Concord, yeah.
Where the author talks about basically what is called the Swiss cheese model. It's never one thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Mike Bannister, who was the BA chief Concorde pilot.
Yeah.
And his book is a sort of part autobiography, but really focuses on, I'd say half the book, if not 2/3 of the book, is about the Air France Concorde crash and his personal reactions, and also he was very, very involved in the investigation and getting Concorde back in the air after. And exactly as you said, he said, there's never some kind of smoking gun. There's never a single point of failure. It does not work like that. And I think that's why there's not going to be a quote unquote satisfying answer to this crash, where it's like, it was X.
Actually, to any
No,
crash.
well, exactly.
Yeah. It's always compounding factors, one thing leading to another, or maybe the stars aligning. It's a bad way to say it. Hence, the Swiss cheese model is exactly that. one little thing, but it just align and it creates a big thing and it's a crash. So it's but it's really sad. It's a tragedy, man. I mean, it's not something we enjoy seeing at all. And this aircraft is so amazing. I want to say that, unlike you remember when we were talking about the MAX crashes, we both said on the podcast that would you fly that airplane? You remember we had that story over and over. I don't think I would have any doubt flying the Dreamliner at all.
No,
right?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
It's a workhorse. It's a massive success. No matter the hiccups they've been having, Boeing has been having, interruption productions and whatever. I think Qatar just ordered like 150 of them. BA is gonna get the bulk of the IAG order, so it's gonna be the backbone of BA's strategy, basically. I think the 350 will only be a top up to BA's strategy. So really, the most aircraft you'll be flying in when you're flying to BA long haul will be the Dreamliner and the upcoming, of course, 777X, whenever that one actually gets. It's a fantastic aircraft, and I don't think, but we still want to know, and that's the good thing about this industry. We learn always from the mistakes or the whatever. Is it a software bug? Is it a engine? Because I think there's clearly a dual engine failure. Where did that come from? I don't know. That's the thing. Yeah. Even if saying that, it's already speculative, guys. But even if you said that, then what? Something must have happened, and we will learn hopefully soon. Yeah. Anyway, anything more you want to add about this? It's not a fun topic, or
no? It's not a fun topic. I do. I was going to say look forward to hearing the cause, and I guess in a way I do. To your point about it does make the whole industry incrementally safer when things like these happen. But some resolution, I think, will be welcomed by everybody.
I fully agree. So from that tragedy to lighter news, our usual format. We'll start with Alex. We discussed a little bit about what we wanted to talk about, what flights, and I think you wanted to talk about the flight. We mentioned a few, time flies, man. I cannot remember, a few months ago, maybe was it, when you flew to the US, I think? Is that the one? Maybe you wanted to do an...
Yeah, no, I think that one is worthy of discussion.
Oh, okay. Because also Alex flew to the US, I think with BA, and since I've done it, mine was only in October. I'm not going to go through all my flight, but I might have stuff to add, comparing our experiences going to... I think both of us were going to New York, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear if my experiences were the exception and maybe not the rule.
He didn't tell me anything, guys, so I don't know when he says that. I don't know what he implies. Okay.
Well, this was a reasonably unusual trip because it was almost entirely for personal reasons. I wasn't going for work and then tacking on a weekend or whatever. It was to go to New York to meet up with some family and just enjoy that wonderful city. And I found a decent fare on BA in economy a couple of months, actually quite a long time ago, maybe January, I booked the flights. And it was during the post-Christmas sale that all the airlines, at least in the UK, adhered to. So it was a very reasonable fare, and the market was competitive. So Virgin, American, Delta, not JetBlue. Yeah, they remain.
I agree. I'm flying. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to New York in November, and I find the fares, even currently from London, very reasonable overall. Yes, but not JetBlue.
I don't know how they're doing that. It's strange to me because is it the most competitive route in the world, international route in the world? It's got to be up there in terms of flights.
One of the most profitable, if not the most profitable.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And you look at just in the BA AA joint venture, the amount of flights per day that they provide is staggering. They're often very full. So I was happy I think I was a sub 400. You're still seeing sub 400 pound round trips, which is great considering the taxes and fees that you get from leaving Heathrow, irrespective of carrier. So I was pleased to get that. I kept an eye on the flight as we kind of got near, and about 3 or 4 weeks before our departure date, I eventually managed to log into manage my booking page, and there was what BA call a proactive upgrade offer.
Oh, yeah.
Which is this little window that sits in the manage my booking thing, offering you a price-based upgrade as opposed to a points-based upgrade. Usually they're laughably high, or no, that's not fair. They're just not worth it in many cases. But this was actually really good value. It was, and Flyer Talk have got a great thread on the BA sort of forum that tracks all of these. They track the proactive upgrade offers, and they also track the airport upgrade offers, the ones that you get at check-in.
They are. Sorry to interrupt. You can if you call, and I think you option one, and then you ask for special upgrade offer. Sometimes he can even unlock it for you.
Yeah. So they do put these things out in front of you, and BA are reasonably unusual. American Airlines don't do that. Once you are at the airport, there is no way to do that.
Okay.
Which I think is a missed opportunity, but whatever. And I compared some of the more recent upgrade offers that people had been getting and posting on Flyer Talk, and it seemed good value. I didn't pull the trigger immediately because I do know, and I know that we've talked about it in the podcast, is they have a tendency to ebb and flow a little bit. So the price will go up a little bit, it'll come down a little bit.
Yeah.
All the revenue management wizardry happening in the background. So I thought, well, I'll keep an eye on it. There's nothing, this is a short-ish flight. I'm not really worried about it. And eventually it dipped maybe another 10 quid. And I was like, you know what, why not? And so I bought these 2 premium economy tickets because Megan, my wife, was coming with me. And I just picked a couple of seats that were free next to each other and just didn't think about it again.
Okay.
And then I had a look. I was watching Expert Flyer to see if there were if there were seats closer to the front of the premium economy cabin, maybe even an exit row or a bulkhead or something like that. Every now and then I checked on it and I thought, ooh, I see one. Or 2. Actually, I'm not going to leave Megan by herself. I'd get in trouble. But I said, okay, brilliant. I'll go. And I eventually managed to log in again. And I keep saying that because it's a thing. Logging in to one's, what do we call them? No, this is a BA club now, isn't it? It's not the executive club.
Bake Off Flying Club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's a pain. It's a pain. You get errors. You get. I know what you're saying.
It spins and spins and spins.
Yes.
I mean, it's. You've heard us, but if you go on Flyer Talk, it's relentless. It's not just us, and we've tried turning it off and on again. Eventually, I logged in and I was like, "Oh, they've moved our seats for it." And I was like, maybe that upgrade didn't work. Maybe maybe the whole thing is, falling apart, and we're back. So I went in to pick a seat thing, going, what is going on here? And I see that it now says business.
No way.
Yeah, it says Leamington, New York, operated by blah blah blah, Club World, seat choice available.
That's amazing.
And I was like, okay. So, and my mind was like, okay, did we get upgraded? Okay, that would be incredibly rare. And I'd like your opinion on this to make sure I'm not being unnecessarily cynical. It feels incredibly rare to upgrade somebody who's already upgraded using and I think perhaps even more so, upgrading 2 people.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Very rare.
I know when I fly with my better half, and we have an upcoming flight later this year. I'll talk when it comes with BA, and we're flying premium economy. And I'm like, there's just no way we're gonna be, courtesy upgraded in business class. However, the only caveat in all this is that I think, and maybe you'll agree, that the best chances of you being upgraded in any class at BA at least is premium economy, because the cabin is not that big. So if they push people from economy to avoid overbooking, they'll push of course, people from premium economy to business, and maybe that's where the algorithm kicks in. Maybe you're still silver. I don't know what you are. Maybe she is something, or of course, you share the same name, so it's a single booking, whatever. So maybe that played a role. But I've never, to answer your question, it never happened to me, and I've never heard somebody bumped after an upgrade like this, right?
No, me neither, and which is why I was incredibly skeptical that it was genuine.
Yeah, like, is it still a bug? Am I actually?
Yeah, no, I genuinely thought that, and I think I mentioned that to you in the moment when it happened as well. I thought because of those circumstances, there was no way, because I am still silver, which I'm just a lowly silver, and for me to think, oh, well, am I really
that important?
Highest and high enough about, were there not other gold guest list, gold for life people in premium economy ahead of me? I mean, I certainly wasn't complaining. And Megan has no status,
right?
With BA, so I was incredibly skeptical. I obviously didn't tell Megan. I actually didn't tell her. Well, I shall tell that part when we get to it. But
okay.
I think I had 4 hours until online check-in opened up, and I was like, well, this will be the
the point
at which, if what's going to happen is I'm going to try and check in. It's going to throw up all over itself and tell me to check in at the airport, and I still won't know until I get there.
Yeah.
So I was not going, oh wow, business class, amazing. Guess what? No. So I waited the 4 hours, and then I checked in online. It took 25 minutes to check in online.
No way! Come on.
Because when I had to put my passport information in, and Megan and I both have new passports since when we last flew with BA.
Yeah.
Okay, put your passport information in, click save, go back to the check-in. It brings up the old passport.
No way.
Every single time.
Ah, come on.
Yeah, so you go through the whole process, you put the passport information in, and then you go back into online check-in, and it goes, is this your information? No, can't change it, got to go back through. And I did some searching, and again, Flyer Talk came to the rescue and said, if you do it on the app, it will work, and you can use their NFC scanning feature on the app.
Yeah, which is pretty nifty, actually.
It is cool. I'm so happy that more and more
airline
services are using that. My tumble dryer has it. So, yeah, because we live in the future.
Yes.
Still ruins my clothes, but oh well. Eventually I get in there, and eventually I have 2 business class boarding passes.
Amazing.
In my hand. I'm like, well, this is just incredible. Great. What a result. I'm not going to believe it until I get to the airport. Yeah. I still don't believe it. I'm waiting for, and so we go to the airport, and on the airport, I get a text message from BA that says, this is where I'm like, it's like, it pops up on the CarPlay thing on the car, and then text from BA. I'm like, oh, there it is. This is it. This is like, something's happened and you're not flying. We're going to send you somewhere else or whatever. But it says, thank you for flying British Airways. Interested in an upgrade? ?
No.
Ask at check-in. I was like, what? And here's the thing. My flight did not have a first class cabin. It's so bad.
You have a jump
It's so
seat.
bad. Well, yeah, they're like, you want to fly the airplane? To ask at check-in. It's, as you guys know, and obviously Paul is, better than anybody, like my other life is customer experience. It's so bad. It's just such a lack of attention to detail. Like this person has been upgraded twice. You know it because you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you send this? If you're going to send it to everybody, don't do that. It just looks foolish. It just looks foolish. It was kind of like, it made me think, oh, of course, my kind of brain's like, okay, well, if they're sending me that means I'm still in premium economy, because of course they wouldn't send it to somebody that's already
That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, you're like, oh, so the system is completely wrong at some,
there's some disconnect somewhere. I'm very excited / horrified to find out where the disconnect is. But we get to T5, and thanks to your tip of going to the bag drops, the self-service bag drops at the north end of the terminal, which were empty. Mm-hmm. I'd never done them before. I think, as I said the last time we spoke about it.
It was my first time. It was actually
yeah. They work well. They're a little bit fiddly in terms of they're quite slow to respond when you first put your passport on there, but it spits out the boarding or the bag tag, and it's self-adhesive, and you send it away. It was great. I mean, I think there was one
want to
person.
learn how it's self-adhesive. I just don't understand the technology behind it. It's just like you align the two dots, and it's just like sticks, and I'm like, this is not a magnet. But how does it? I don't know.
Because it's not sticky when you. Yeah, no, it's cool, and it works well. And,
works well.
There was like maybe 2 people ahead of us, and there were BA staff on hand to.
Oh, okay.
To if you had a problem or whatever, and you have, because it was a U.S. flight, you have to do dock check at some point, and they ushered us over to these empty. I think they were. Oh, it was a dedicated passport or document check desk at the end of the row of desks for business class check-in.
Oh, I see.
Which I appreciate. You're not waiting in line with everybody doing their baggage and everything like that. It was dedicated. Scan your blah blah blah. And she handed us 2 physical business class, and I said, "Oh, okay, all right. This is good. This is confident. I feel a lot more confident." But interestingly, the lady on the desk said, "Have you been told to go directly to the B gate lounge?"
Oh, okay.
And I said, "No, I haven't." I was racking my brain thinking, at what point would I have been told that? Maybe she thought I had checked in, and I was just checked in at a desk. And And I said, "No, why?" And she said, "Well, your flight's going from the B gates, and that lounge is much quieter."
As we know.
Which I appreciate. Which made me think of the gate, the lounge, the A lounges. Because there's 2. There's the North and South BA lounge, business class. Must have been apocalyptic.
Yeah, that's what I told you when I was explaining to you last time. And I went through that bit, so the north part of Terminal 5, ending up out to the North Lounge. And every single time I go, it's rammed, no matter the time.
Yeah. That's what I inferred from her comment. Yeah. So, and I thought about it because we had a reasonable amount of time, but not hours and hours before our departure time. So I thought, well, you know what? She's right. That lounge is generally quieter.
Yeah.
That terminal is, or that pier, or whatever you want to call it, the B line is often quieter. So we just decided to go straight there because the north. Those bag drops are at the north end of the terminal. So we used the north fast track security, which was empty and easy and quick, no problems there at all. But it spits you out right at the entrance of the North Lounge.
Exactly. This is why.
I glanced in there and was like, "Oh, hell no!"
They could probably do the same way they do the busyness of the security. They could do a sign with the busyness of the lounge. They do.
They've just done that. Right as you exit security, there's now a LCD screen that shows the busyness of the lounges.
Sorry.
Yeah. Which I thought, you know what? And kudos to them. Good idea.
Yeah.
When you are at capacity, and I know that's one of the reasons why they're redoing their status program is to address issues like this. We don't need to go in that freaking rabbit hole. I thought it was an elegant solution.
There's no way I'm going to keep silver, man. No matter how many times I fly.
No, likewise. Absolutely
There's no way I'm looking at. But the paltry, the line, like how many, and I'm like, I'm not advancing. It's just staying at the very beginning. I'm like,
there's no chance. There's no chance at all. So
I want to interrupt just for one comment here, because you're gonna move on. Don't you think it's time, because how many flights goes to the US, that Heathrow should look at trying to get pre-clearance? I mean, when you know that Doha has it, Shannon has it, you have other airports in the world that are implementing or have pre-clearance. I mean,
it would be great. I mean, especially as you say, with the amount of flights going in that direction, something like that. I mean, we know that It happens in Abu Dhabi. It happens in
Abu Dhabi. I
Dublin
don't think
and
Doha. I
Shannon.
think you're right. It's Abu Dhabi, not Doha. I don't think Doha. Maybe Doha has it. No, anyway.
I think maybe they
was
do
it just
as well.
in passing comment? I'm like thinking that London should be the obvious choice to have something like that. Maybe it's too
Well, who
complicated
knows?
for safety reasons. I mean, security reasons. I don't know. But yeah.
Maybe with the eventual Heathrow expansion, there'll be a opportunity to do that, but
We'll be long dead.
not in our lifetime. Yeah. We'll be too infirm to travel. But yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice. And, she was right, because that lounge, you jump on the train or walk like I like to do. And the lounge it was busy, but there was no problem finding a seat.
Good.
And we had a choice of seats. And the BA lounge experience, I think, is, it's nothing compared to some of the more premium carriers in the world, but it's not bad. Like, the food is good. The people are nice. It's unlike some other lounges I've been in. It's kept tidy, as best they can. Those poor people running after everybody leaving their plates. But the staff are friendly. The food is good. They have like these hot food stations now where somebody's creating it fresh for you and all of that. You know what? It was fine. It was fine. We only had an hour and a bit in there, and before making our way to the gates. And the boarding process at BA, which has come under a lot of scrutiny, I think, as they've tinkered with it, was great. It was very well monitored. So when the group was called, that was it. You were turned away if you tried to get in before your group was called. It was one group and then another group and then another group.
And people
and then
were
another
respecting that.
Yeah, and it because it's in it was one of those gates that's in the northeast corner of the terminal. So it has a slightly unusual configuration, meaning there's a big maze of tensor barriers going back and forth.
I see, yes.
Because of its location in the terminal.
So they can separate groups more easily.
They can separate it. And what they did is there was hardly any group 0 or group 1, maybe 4 or 5 people.
So you were not group 1 yourself?
We were group 2.
Wow, see, in Europe, I'm group 1, flying short haul. For some reason, I'm silver, I'm flying economy, and I'm group 1. And I'm like, how does that work? And then long haul.
We've compared notes on that, because I've had the same experience and I thought it was a mistake. But now I'm wondering if I'm looking at my boarding pass right now. And
I mean,
we were group 2. We were group 2.
I mean, maybe on long haul because there's more people. The plane is a wide body. They separate more, with more groups or something. I mean, it's fine. I'm not going to complain that I'm group 1, being silver and in economy. But I'm like, there's probably are people that are silver and above in business. This should be group 1, and I should be group 2, even though I'm silver, which is not a higher status, and I'm in economy. Yeah. So I'm still happy to be group 1, where I can go straight in. But it's I still haven't figured. Maybe they still haven't themselves figured out exactly how they want to stagger the groups. I don't know.
I think they're experimenting. Yeah, it's clear that they're doing that. But what they did was they brought on 0, 1, and 2. And brought us into the holding pen, pass, dock check, and all of that. And then they closed it. Oh. So we were all sat in there, and they asked groups 3 and 4 to line up. So you had these queues in front of those whatever you want to, the passport scanning machines, the barriers that let you through automatically. There's maybe 4 of them. Yeah. And then they got the call from the aircraft saying, we're ready. They let us go through, and then they started doing groups 3 and 4. Yeah, so it flowed really nicely. There was no massive queue on the jet bridge. It was to BA's credit, it was really well managed. Good. Nothing felt rushed. Nothing felt kind of elbows down and everybody scrumming in towards the airplane. It was very well managed. It was clear it was going to be a pretty full flight, so I think that they did that very well. And the people managing the boarding process were the excellent communicators and assertive as well, which I appreciated. It was good. It was really, really good, actually. I think it makes me hopeful that BA are starting to wrap their heads around this and taking some expertise from their colleagues at American who, for all of their fault, their boarding processes is solid.
Yeah, and I would say also sometimes it's not a criticism, but sometimes it's just about like you said, the layout of the gates. Some gates are just not made to have 9 groups, no matter how you configure the gate. And then you cannot control how people behave. And sometimes it's not that people want to cheat. Is that some people see, oh, people are going through the gate, I'm going as well. You know, it's not like people are being oblivious. I'm not here criticizing passengers. I'm saying, oh, you see a lot of people congregating. I'm like, I'm going as well. And then you're group 4 or whatever, and it's only group 2 being boarded, and you're there, and you're like, and there's no space to move. Like, especially in Terminal A, so 5A, some of the gates are really compressed. There's not a lot of room to play with. Like, you know, next, like in the middle, the ones that are like where there's a lot of people sitting. There's a lot of seats.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when where you have the stairs that go down to take the train, the gates that are around there are really not big. So it's meaning it's not also the airline's fault. It's not BA's fault or
no. And there's never going to be a catch-all solution or catch-all process that you can say at T5 we do this. It's going to be, as you say, at T5 B gates X, Y, and Z we do this, but A, B, and C we do that. And but I was impressed. You know, it's very easy to dunk on BA, which I'll do in a minute. But this bit was good. That whole boarding process was good.
Let's be honest. Because I'm going to do a bit of that as well. It's also, and we said that in the past, it's simply because we're very much more exposed to BA than maybe
100%.
Most of you listening to this podcast. I know most of the people listening are in the US, of course, a big chunk here in the UK, Australia, Japan, wherever. So, of course, we tend to criticize more BA simply because we're exposed to them way more. And we see the faults way more. I don't know, EVA, I've flown them twice in my life, so I cannot spend my time criticizing. Maybe there's nothing to criticize, but you know what? It's so. Just wanted to make that clear for
and it's been relative for us.
The BA fanatics that are listening to us, or maybe the BA staff that are listening to us. This is not a point about just that BA is especially bad. It's just that we're very exposed to it.
And we've seen it ebb and flow over
years,
decades now at this point to see, you know, what was good and what was bad and what worked. But that whole process was really well done, and I admire and applaud them for it because it's not an easy thing to do. So that was good. And we were on a 777-300, which is one of my favorite airplanes.
Yeah.
It's kind of straddles that old and new generation airplane where there's still the big loud engines, but it's a comfortable, smooth experience. And we had our club suites.
Nice.
And I had the boarding passes on my phone, so Megan still hadn't clocked it, and I said, "Okay, we stop here," and she was pleased. We had 2 seats in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the common seats. Yeah.
Which was great.
I've never done those. Are they? I mean, I've done the ones on the window. Is it nice? Can you actually see each other? And oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and if you don't know the person, it's very easy to make it private. There's a divider.
Yeah.
But also when you're sitting and you're facing your screen or you're even slightly reclined, your view is pretty much obscured.
Yeah. Okay.
And not in a bad way. It felt like a good compromise, unlike in the old yin and yang seats. And this is the thing that frustrates me so much about British Airways is that is a good product. I like that seat.
Agree.
It's comfortable. The door is a nice addition. The screen is big and bright. There's enough storage. There's enough USB and charging outlets. There's clearly been a design issue with there's a door sort of at the right side of if you're on the left side of the airplane. There's a door at the right side of your head which holds your headphones, your BA issued headphones.
Yeah.
And there's something that it bashes up against on the mirroring seat. So you look down the cabin and every single one of them is scratched to hell.
Oh.
It's just thrashed. And and all in the same spot. There's a big line on all of them. And it's one of those things that you just don't figure out until the plane is exactly. Yeah. It's like on the original Virgin upper class suites where you had the footrest. They got absolutely battered in the original version by the
coffins. You mean, or
the coffins? Yeah. The coffins had these the footrests that the bed folds down onto, and somebody could theoretically join you for dinner. Yeah. The outside of them got scuffed to hell by the food carts and people's backs. So it just looked tatty, and they eventually they figured it out. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, who cares?
Yeah,
I don't care.
Exactly. I was about to say, yeah.
Because that hard product, I am genuinely a fan of. I think
it's good.
The experience as a whole,
Yeah.
from the hard product,
Agreed.
the IFE, excellent. Tons and tons and tons of content. The way that it's organized is sensible. I watched a Hong Kong movie, which I was really looking forward to seeing, and it was there. There was lots of Hong Kong Chinese content, which I kind of love the Hong Kong movie scene. So
I know
there was that, loads of TV, and not just 1 or 2 episodes of a series, but entire seasons. Okay, this is what a grown-up IFE looks like.
Yeah,
excellent. So I was impressed. Megan was like, "Wow, there's a lot of shows on here," and she liked the seat. It was comfortable. Great. A real step up. And it wasn't like the first time I had flown in this suite. And I wasn't that sort of, because you get on a new product and you're like, oh, bells and whistles and blah.
Yeah.
I've thrown it 3 or 4 times before. It wasn't like,
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
This, and that's kind of a fun thing. And I had that on a flight I took a couple of days ago with Turkish, but we'll talk about that in another episode.
There's always for me, there's a, the first time he's like, wow, it's amazing. Of course it's amazing because it's new. Yeah. You've never seen that. Unless it's really crap, but that rarely happens nowadays in premium cabins, right?
Yeah.
And then you fly that. And then there's also a point when it's 20 times and you kind of start seeing details that nobody sees and you only see. Like I can now probably tell you about all the little things that don't work on the Q suite, but that's unfair. Because actually it's one of the best seats in the world, but because I've flown it probably, 15 times or whatever, this little deal, but I agree with you. BA's Club World, the new one, is really nice.
Yeah, it's a good seat, and it's a riff on so many other, I can't remember who makes it, but there's a lot of airlines that have
a lot of airlines, with that model.
The skeleton of that, yeah.
And
it works, and I was delighted to be up there for free, essentially.
Yeah.
But the stark contrast to that experience, that excellent, and I genuinely think it's an excellent hard product, is the soft product.
Oh.
It was atrocious.
Oh, tell us.
And soft product, I don't know how you categorize this, but when I hear or say soft product, I'm referring to the human piece. So the customer service and food and drink.
Yeah, me too, basically.
I can't think of anything else.
Amenity kits everything that is not.
Okay, yep.
Maybe amenity kits.
That's not fixed to the airplane.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great point. Amenity kit is an important.
Anything you can add to whatever is fixed to the aircraft. Yeah, I agreed. Yeah, that's exactly that. Yeah.
It was one of the worst BA experiences of
really
I've had Yep.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and it was. I think there was a general indifference from the crew, which was immediately apparent. And things like coming to take your pre-takeoff drink order, or your post-takeoff drink order, they do while you're still on the ground. So they come around and ask everybody, what would you like to drink after takeoff? And I started to tell the member of the cabin crew what I wanted. And then one of her colleagues comes up and just starts talking to her as I'm talking to her and just interrupts her. I'm like, okay. So and it wasn't about anything important. It was about somebody who was on the airplane who I will get to in a little bit. And she goes, okay, sorry, what were you saying? And I was like, I was telling you my drink order and I want X, please. Okay, right. Goes off. Not a smile, not a sorry about that. Nothing. Just on to the next person. When the drink comes, it's the wrong drink. And not even like the wrong white wine. It was like, you ordered fish and I brought you, a car, I was like, oh no, I'm sorry. I ordered that. Oh, right. Eventually somebody else brings me the drink and I thought, oh, this is not going to be good. Eventually they do the takeoff stuff and the post takeoff drink, I get the correct drink. It's fine, whatever. And then I ordered some water. It never came. at all, ever, at any point during the entire flight. I ordered the meal. The meal eventually comes, and it is appalling. It is disgusting. Really poor food.
Especially from their home base.
From the home base and from Doe & Co., who I think are really being squeezed on budget, by PA. It was just sort of unceremoniously presented on a tray that's dropped in front of you. No smile, no nothing, just nothing at all. No charisma, no nothing. Meanwhile, my food's in front of me. Megan hasn't even ordered hers yet because they keep stopping and talking for ages to the guy across the aisle from her.
Is he some kind of celebrity or something?
Well, every cabin crew comes and talks to this guy for a long time at really busy points of the flight, and it's at this point now interrupting service flow.
Yeah.
So there's one person kind of in the aisle, kind of halfway in the aisle, halfway in his suite, talking to him. Another person with his ass in Megan's face, like just she's kind of like backing away and like looking at me, going. And this had happened. Another member of the cabin crew had come down the aisle taking orders and stopped every time at this other person's seat. And maybe half an hour had gone by, and Megan still hadn't. She's like, "What do I do? Do I? Have they forgotten me? Like, what do I do?"
It's not great, man. It's not great.
No. And this throughout the flight, this person in the aisle opposite spent ages like going and talking to the cabin crew and taking selfies with them and talking to them and like, "Oh guys, let's all gather around for a selfie." And they were loving it, but it was really impacting service. And it was like a stark contrast between the effervescence that he was getting and the stone cold nothing that the rest of us were getting.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah.
It was really bad. It was interfering with service to a point where it was a joke.
Yeah, you can understand the enthusiasm when there is, I don't know who that person is, you'll tell us, whether he's a CEO or celebrity or whatever. However, if you see that yourself are not being considered at all, that makes it because I've seen, like most of us, I guess, some celebrities in the front of the cabin, but I've never experienced like a stark level. Of course, there's enthusiasm. I'm not a celebrity. You're not a celebrity. They're not going to talk to us like but I've never felt at the same time that people were, ignoring me because it was a celebrity. And that's really bad because it was,
yeah. And this person, I'm not going to tell you exactly who it was. That's not necessary. But this person was a points blogger.
Oh.
They were a blogger for one of the big points.
I remember now. You told me. Yeah. No, we're not going to say his name. No.
So no, it was nothing like that could warrant anything like that. And it was infuriating because they will go back and maybe they'll write a blog post about how excellent the experience was because they were being fawned over, and everything like that.
Yeah, fawned over is it right?
But it was not. It was a categorically excrement experience from beginning to end. The soft product, and then so after a while, I just gave up and I went to the galley. Like I want some sparkling water that I asked for 3 hours ago. I didn't say it like that because I'm not a dick, but
of course.
I went to the galley and I couldn't get into the galley because they were all gathered around him to do a selfie. And I was like at that point, like, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but could I please have some sparkling water?" And it was sort of like the chief purser or cabin services manager could tell I was getting a little bit pissed off by this point, and he could see why. And so he could have parted the seas and got through all of his colleagues who just looked at me like an irritant.
Oh.
And got me a glass of sparkling water, and he's like, "Is there anything else I can get you?" And he pointed at what they used to call did they call it the pantry?
I think so. Or is it? No, well,
Something like
we
that.
know what you mean. Yeah, exactly.
It's a self-service snack, which used to be kind of great. They had all these like lovely little British, and now it's like a sad packet of crisps and an old banana. It was, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm okay. I settled in to watch this movie, and then they brought around the second meal before landing meal, which was even worse than the first.
Oh.
It truly was inedible. It was foul.
And if you say that, I trust you because you're not someone who's going to exaggerate that on purpose.
No, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I mean, Megan didn't eat hers. The lovely old couple in front of us, I could hear them because they had no volume control in their voices. They were also, and these were people who were relentless enthusiasts, and they were
appalled,
trying really hard to find something to be positive about. But it was really, really bad. Just a terrible experience, soft product experience. And I follow the BA Flyer Talk feed on my RSS reader because I'm old.
Yeah, the same.
And and you can see it consistently, like, you know, what's going on with this? What's going on with this? My hope remains that they will continue to refine what's clearly working in the lounges and on the ground at Heathrow and extend it to the in-flight experience.
Yeah.
There's an interesting counterbalance here. Suffice it to say that landing at JFK, the last few times I've landed at JFK, as I have reported on the podcast, I've sailed through immigration at T8.
Yep.
Just straight through. No, like nobody there.
Same this time?
This last time, it was like the end of the frigging world. There was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people.
Even with a mobile passport thing.
Even with them. See, this is where. So Megan has global entry. So she just zipped through, and I was like, please, can you just go and find our bag? Because we checked the bag in, obviously. And I was like, mobile passport control is going to save me here because, oh my God, look at this. It's unbelievable, the sea of humanity. And I looked for the mobile passport thing. Mm-hmm. I can see, okay, it's over here on the far left-hand side of Immigration Hall. And the queue kind of comes out and then just bleeds into the mass.
Oh.
And I like follow this sort of clump of people, and then another queue forms off the back of the clump, and it's maybe 200 people long.
Oh.
And so I go up to somebody and I was like, are you waiting for mobile passport control? And at the same time, somebody goes, the back of the line's back there, buddy. At this point, I'm like, how about you go F yourself? I didn't say that, but I was thinking that. And he's like, no, I'm just waiting to go in. I'm like, okay, so nobody knows where mobile passport control is, where the line is. Eventually, this very assertive customer service person from JFK basically just starts shouting. It's like mobile and she just sort of herded the people into appropriate queues. At that point, maybe there was like 15 people from mobile passport control.
Yeah. More reasonable.
Yeah,
we should stop talking about mobile passport because everybody's going to start doing it. Guys, do not use mobile passport.
No, don't use it. It's terrible. It's awful.
Only Alex and I are able to use it.
But I guess because I'd never taken, I hadn't taken a flight that early. I think we took the 1 p.m. departure. Usually I'm later in the day when I think there was an Iberia flight and a couple of BAs and an American and a Qatar and Cathay maybe all converging. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but bag came through quickly and we came through. I'll recount the return leg quickly because it's an interesting contrast. T8 coming back to JFK on the return leg. They have, as you guys might know, they have a dedicated first class wing for BA and AA where it's like a hotel check-in. It's nice. It's a nice experience. And then a sort of partition section for business, which is also pretty good. We get in there and there's probably 10 or 12 parties ahead of us. And they have it segmented, like half check-in desk for American flights, half check-in for BA flights.
Were you flying what, premium economy at that point? Or?
Good question. No, we were slumming it in economy.
Okay.
And I say slumming it in inverted commas, and you'll discover why. But the line didn't move, and didn't move, and didn't move, and didn't move, and didn't move for maybe 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it just sat there and sat there and sat there. Eventually, we slowly, because there's those evening block of flights back to London. There's half a dozen BA flights, at least, in the space of maybe 4 hours that depart. And eventually we get up to the front of the queue, and the check-in agent couldn't find Megan's reservation, which was the same reservation as mine.
I was about to say.
She's like, I don't see her on the reservation. I'm like, well, she got here, and here's her online boarding pass, and she's like, yeah, I don't see her on the reservation. And she's like, did you use a different passport? She's like, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but did you use a different passport coming over? And I said, yeah, because I'm legally required to. Like, I have to go into the country on the passport of my citizenship.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, that's the problem. She's like, BAIT, and these are her words, BAIT sucks. It can't figure this out. She's like, the app sucks. The reservation system sucks. That's why I can't do this. Oh. She's like, hold on, I got to go all the way back out. I got to start this whole thing again.
Man.
Yeah. And she's just sitting there like, oh my God, okay, yeah, I guess it does kind of suck. And eventually she gives us our boarding passes, but it kind of freaked me out. I was like, what do you mean you can't find her?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Reservation, what's going on here? Why is it attached to my boarding pass? Like my passport. She's used her passport to come over. Therefore, anyway.
Makes no sense. Oh,
she was ruthless, yeah. Perfectly lovely, very funny lady, but she was relentless in her criticism. I think it just genuinely makes their jobs hard.
Probably, yeah, exactly, yeah.
But we went into the lounge, the Greenwich Lounge, whatever the business class lounge is, which is a solid lounge, especially that corner to the right hand side where there's maybe 7 or 8 seats, recliners, great view of the tarmac. It's quiet.
What time was it at that time when you were there?
6 p.m.
Oh, so you still had like views, so it was not nighttime.
Yeah, it was busy time of day. Yeah, and it's it was in May, so it was still sunny.
Yeah, good.
It was that lounge is fine. It's good. It's always busy, but they do try and stay on top of it. The boarding process was again, it's such a strange experience because they've refined the airside experience as best they can. The lounges are newish, but then you go into the terminal itself, and as we've said before, it's the low ceiling, unpolished, old terminals. But it was fine. It was fine. It was kind of a cool experience for me because we sat down in the boarding area, and JFK and basically every other airport in the US has these screens that are all playing kind of a closed circuit broadcast network of pre-programmed television, sports highlights, news, and stuff like that. And then we're watching, and then my stupid face comes up on it.
No way.
And so we have 10 episodes of Attaché running at 90 airports in the U.S.
Oh, that's amazing.
25 minutes. So it's kind of a trip to see that. So if you guys are out there watching and you see me, that's why.
That's awesome. Has it started recently, or?
It started last month, April.
That's cool, man. Wow.
Yeah, so it'll be in.
Did you choose
Heathrow,
the 10 episodes,
Gatwick.
or did they choose the 10 episodes?
We chose the 10 episodes and we condensed them, so they're shorter versions.
Yeah. For faster consumption, especially on the type of screens, you pay attention. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
They're 7 or 8 minutes long.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was kind of cool to see that. But the boarding process was done with the facial recognition stuff.
Yep.
As well, and reasonably well enforced. In fact, actually pretty rigorously enforced boarding process. Clearly a very busy flight, but we had the only seat in economy was between us. So I was at the window, Megan was in the aisle, and the seat between us had been blocked But with these flights, so often you've got non-rev, you've got people who missed an earlier flight. It's very rare, so we were very lucky.
But did you book on purpose? Like,
yes.
Oh, so you left the middle free,
We left the
hoping that
middle
nobody
free.
will take it.
Yeah, and if they do, we just, would you like the aisle seat? No one's dumb enough to say, no, I want to be in the middle. But that didn't happen, and it's great because Megan's got a knee problem that really helps, benefits from being in the aisle.
Good.
The hard product, it is what it is. It's an economy seat, which we've all flown a million times, but the service was outstanding. Outstanding.
Amazing.
And not just for us. I could see it. Just the bubbliness, the friendliness, the attentiveness. And they're dealing with exponentially more passengers.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The meal service was fast. Megan was chatting with one of the flight attendants, and she slipped her an extra bottle of wine, just not a full size bottle, but just
a bottle of wine is good for knee problems, right?
Exactly, helps you sleep. I mean, it was night and day. I slept for most of the flight.
Nice.
We had an extraordinarily long taxi delay. We joined, and I can't remember the circumstances, but it was maybe an hour and a half. The captain warned us as we were taxiing out. I think it was flow control or something. I can't remember to be entirely, but of course I'm listening to it on liveatc.net, which was lovely.
Yeah.
It's like ASMR for me, and you could see everybody was kind of converging onto this single runway. It was rush hour. There was something almost sort of meditative about it, just watching this whole process. You can't complain. It's no one's fault.
Yeah. Exactly.
Everybody's chilled. Cabin's quiet. I'm listening, watching the airplanes come in. We had the dream lifter go by us, and interesting to see it. Yeah, it was just cool. And up and listening on the Wi-Fi as we got handed across until the Atlantic crossing, when you can't really listen to anything else. But again, like, night and day between those different cabins. And I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how they can be so different.
Yeah.
Same airline, just divided by a curtain. How the experiences can be so different between the two. And it really infuriates me to this day. Even getting off and chatting while we're waiting to get our gate of the air, just banter and, let me hold the baby while you, not my baby, obviously, but people in the bulkhead, let me hold the baby while you get yourself together. No, it's fine. She's got the emergency exit. We got enough. Don't worry about it. That was BA of old.
Yeah.
Or frankly, what it should be, frankly, at this point. It was an infuriating experience, all told. I appreciated the upgrade, but that's about it.
And before people, not that our audience does that, but it's not only first world problems, is that in that case not, but if you pay 3 times the price, you expect a little bit of service that would be at least equivalent to economy. We don't expect caviar and diamonds and falling over because we're not famous bloggers, travel bloggers, points bloggers, blah, blah, blah. But, you paid for it.
If I had paid, I think I said to Megan a couple of times, and it's funny because, again, speaking of hard product, I don't know if you would consider this hard product, but the Wi-Fi is good.
Okay.
It's the free messaging if you're just a member of the.
Was it a 777 on the way back as well?
777-300 again on the way back. Okay. And so we were WhatsApping back and forth, comparing our experience, because you don't want to just talk shit out loud. It's childish. So we're just doing it on our phones because we're children. So an infuriating experience, all told, because it shows there is at a genetic level within BA, there is a rich seam of excellent customer service to be had.
We've said that in the past many times.
Yeah.
We said
and it seems to only come up in economy. Why?
It's funny because while it's not exactly the same, my experience is actually similar. I flew. Are you over with your story or?
Yeah. So this is what I've been waiting to hear. Is like, do they just not like me?
It's gonna be shorter because then I want to move on to something else. But And also, I mean, there's not much difference between. So my trip was in October 2024. It was, remember, guys, if you've listened, if you haven't, you should, because one of our best episodes, the episode about Ukraine and Nepal for Alex. That was the time when I was in New York, and then I had to go to Ukraine just after. So I changed my return flight to come to an afternoon flight to being able to catch the train the next day to Ukraine. Anyway, this is October 2024. I'm flying from Gatwick, however, and I'm coming back to Heathrow. And I'm flying in business class, and I'm coming back in premium economy. And no upgrades. I've never been upgraded by BA. Not even double upgraded or something. No, I'm kidding. I wish. Look, it was a time when I'm going to go quick because again, no need to too many repeats. It was a time, with the Gatwick lounge from BA wasn't fully finished, so you would enter it and it was still works done. It's a great lounge.
Oh yeah.
But I remember there was the water. Fountains were being installed, so there was like noise and whatever, and I was like, what the hell are they doing? It's a great lounge nowadays.
It is a great lounge.
Right? Yeah. Even the non-first class one, the normal one.
Yeah, it's a great lounge.
It's a great lounge. It's a huge improvement of what they had before, although the one they had before was also fine. Mm-hmm. And so it was work, and I know I say that every time. BA, Prosecco is not champagne. Please bring back champagne. Anyway, it was 777-200ER from 1999.
Yeah, the old dogs.
Yes. Aptly named. I usually don't do that. The registration was G-VIIP. I'm like, this is perfect for me. I'm the VIIP. Very important person. And, you enter. I mean, it was, I'm going to say it right. Of course, it's the old configuration. The yin yang, as you call them.
Right.
Yeah. And I was kind of happy to do that. I knew it, of course, from the seat map when I booked my seat. I was happy to do that. It was almost like a goodbye to that seat. In a way, and it didn't bother me to have to do that and not do the new Club World. But a bit of course, I enter the aircraft, and as soon as I enter the aircraft, there's a big piece of aircraft on the aisle with a flight attendant trying to figure out what it is. I think it was a piece of a seat. She didn't really know where it was fitting back. Not my seat. I was, on the way towards my seat. I was 4K. So, at the end of the first little cabin against the bulkhead, looking backwards, that was my seat. So that was already introduction. I was like, oh God, there's a piece of the seat. Of course, this is nothing to do with safety, guys. It's just that it's an old aircraft.
Yes, aesthetic, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not going to refurbish it because these are either being scrapped as aircraft and or will be seeing a refurb. I don't think that one will see a refurb, however. But anyway, exactly. It was like, oh my God, is that BA? It's falling apart. But no. So it was the 4K old club's suite. I still remember the first time I entered that seat, and I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's exactly what we were saying before. You flew the new Club World 4 times. I've flown the Yin Yang, probably like you, so many times.
Yeah.
But then I had a pause. I hadn't flown that since pre-COVID. And it was much smaller than I remembered. I tended to remember it being bigger, like the space, not the seat itself. But, oh, it's not that. However, there's still a lot of leg room. I'm still
yeah. Oh,
right?
Sure. And I said it was awful just a second ago. That's not true.
That's not true, right?
It's really not, because when you're sitting backwards and you're looking at the engine, I mean, that's pretty great.
Right? Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that.
And because I was against the bulkhead looking backwards, that chose that on purpose, obviously. That's the seat when you want to get out, you don't have to cross someone. You just have your little kind of corridor to get to the aisle. That didn't matter because I was so lucky, even though it was almost a full flight, the seat next to me was empty.
Wow.
I was able to expand. As soon as I heard the boarding complete, I'd be like, oh, there's no one on the aisle. So I put I think my headphones or whatever, I remember. It's a very, to sum it up, it's a very analog seat still. And I kind of like it. I like analog stuff. The small reading lamp, the switches are all very analog.
Yeah,
they're not like touch controlled or whatever. And the screen is a bit slow to react, and you have to kind of fold it when on departure and take away. So you miss the last 20 minutes of your movie if you're. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But there's a lot of legroom, which I appreciated. This was some stuff like the power plug didn't work. The USB outlet maybe charged at 1% an hour because, of course, these are like old aircrafts, right? So they don't have. So I had my battery, even though nowadays, have you seen that lately? There are a lot of more, and I'm not talking BA especially, they have announcements about power banks. Like,
yes, everybody seems to.
Yeah, some airlines say that you're not allowed to use them. Some airlines say you're not allowed to charge them. And some airlines say you're allowed to use them, but only when you see it. So if you leave for the lavatory, you should unplug it. Yeah.
Interesting. I haven't heard that one.
I think that one is EasyJet. I'll come to that. I'm going to talk EasyJet after this. Anyway, the Wi-Fi was okay, a bit spotty, but again, old aircraft, and I'm like, I don't care. The divider, however, the famous divider that you need, there was no one next to me, but if you wanted to put it up, it probably hadn't been cleaned since 1999. It was but again, you remember it's that plastic thing. I don't think you can clean it. At some point, going up and down and up and down and up and down, it becomes kind of opaque and it just gets dirty or yeah. But I mean, doesn't matter. Mine was open all the time because there was no one next to me anyway. And so I'll come to the crew in a moment. That IFE. I'm sorry, Denis Villeneuve. I watched Dune 2 on the smallest screen possible, where you told everybody you should see it on IMAX. So I had a BA IMAX, which is a very tiny screen, but the movie was great, though. So I'd used my own headset because the one that they gave you was not great. But again, it didn't really matter. I was happy. Then starts the service. So, look, she comes, and it's not exactly like you. She comes, Claire, she was named. And the reason I tell her name is that she ended up being great. But at the beginning, she didn't talk to anyone. She didn't really care. Like, she gave me the little, nuts in a bag to eat something for my pre-departure drink. And it was really minimal. And I was like, again, I paid for this. But it's fine. Maybe I'm unlucky. Maybe it's a bad day for her. I'm always a bit, like... What I saw, and to make it short, what I felt is that, was she tired? Not tired that day, but tired in general. She was an older lady, let's say, and maybe she gave up. However, because, and I'm not here going to put myself on a pedestal, but because I was like, come on, I was trying. I was trying to make jokes, trying to make banter, smiling, being very easy. Not that I'm never difficult on people, but, and she warmed up over the first 2 hours of the flight. And then you could feel that old BA. It's really interesting because as soon as she felt, I don't know if it's me and maybe other passengers are also very nice and happy and genuine and engaging. I don't know. She turned. She was from that doesn't care, don't want to be here, became a very nice, engaging flight attendant. And I was like, is that because maybe BA doesn't treat her well? Maybe she's done that too long in her life and wants to move on. I don't know her circumstance. I'm not going to say any of that is true. But it was really interesting that there was a gem hidden behind. If I had just stopped at the first encounter, I was like, she doesn't give a S about me or the flight or anything. The way she was serving was like, I don't really care. And as soon as she turned, I was like, okay, this is fantastic. That was really weird as an experience.
It is very strange.
It is, and she was really wonderful once she turned. And again, I'm not saying it's me that turned her or whatever. However, you know how it is in these flights. At some point, they switch the person that deals with you. A bit later, where is everyone? For instance, after dinner, I ask. I never take the dessert. Because although I'm a sweet tooth, I try to pay attention. So I always like fruits. And I said, can I have fruits? And they said, yeah. 25 minutes later, no fruits. And I went to the galley and said, we'll come. And another 15 minutes. And so, because I said, maybe, they're busy, like putting everything back in the, I don't know. So I'll say, I'm just going to stand up. The galley is literally next to me because I'm 4K. So I don't have to, No. So they were like polite. They would come, and I was like, okay. And then at some point, I pressed the bell, and it was a very quiet part of the flight. 9 minutes for someone to show up.
Jeez.
And I'm like, and again, it's fine. I can take my feet. And by the way, that's what I did. I'm just saying, this is where, exactly what you said, this is where you like have this balance. I do not expect people coming in 30 seconds like they did, that JAL flight I did before. It was like 5 seconds. However, you pay for that in a way. And I know it sounds very entitled to say this, but you're like, it's not great, So basically, she turned, the others didn't, basically. So, yeah, that was the general atmosphere. The food was fine, honestly. It was not.
No, that's good. But that was at a Gatwick.
Yes,
that's interesting.
It was fine. I really more than fine, actually. When I say fine, it was not extraordinary that I would remember from October what I ate, but I remember it was good. That's good. That's a good sign, yeah. And the one anecdote, because then I'll go to the return because I want to move on to another flight. But the one anecdote is like we're on final, literally probably 90 seconds before landing, and the dude behind me, so in 3K, decides to stand up and wants to go to the bathroom.
Oh my God!
I'm like, and then of course you hear like the PA, no, please sit down. Which he does, and then when we arrive to a stop, he starts complaining about why he couldn't go to the bathroom. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, I'm oblivious. Maybe that's why she was so tired.
Yeah, exactly.
Having to deal with people like that day in and day out.
That's exactly what I was about to say. This is maybe the reason that even the staff later on didn't want to show up. Is big. Maybe again, you never know. There's a toss. Other passengers were being asses. I don't know, but compared to other experiences I've had, JAL, Qatar, lately I'm talking, not all my lifetime, and BA of years ago, it was a bit, it was a bit like, okay. Like, I was almost expecting, because I had the old BA configuration, that I would get the old BA type of staff and crew and experience. I didn't truly get that. Though Claire, again, I want to say she was amazing. And actually, at the end, she was at the door when we exited, and I talked to her, and she was really great. And I think she was appreciative that people will not just consider her as some kind of servant, because maybe some passengers do, and that's also maybe the reason some flight attendants become tired of that. Because passengers like to go, bring me something, like without any kind of, just be a fucking human being, and talk to the person, look them in the eye, and remove your headphones when you talk to them or something, right?
Yeah, it's post-pandemic malaise. I think may have a lot to do with it. And also our general degradation as a species in that time frame as well. You can kind of understand. I mean, it's not an easy job.
No, it's not.
So I do have unlimited sympathy for them, but at the same time, like, I don't always like doing my job, and there's a balance, right?
Yeah, that's exactly there's the balance. So overall, it was fine because she changed, especially her. The other crew, I don't even remember them because they were mostly absent. Like, where is everybody? Like, But okay. Quickly, because on JFK, because we mentioned that before. First, we taxi forever. Surrounded by Delta planes, and I'm like, okay, this is the fault. I'm blaming Delta for taxiing forever. So I get when I'm taxiing, I get the mobile passport notification, and it immediately tells me the line to go to, and I'm like, line 31. I'm like, oh wow, great, that's amazing. It was my first, because you told me to do it, and it was my first experience doing so. And then at the immigration, I went to line 31, and this is why I was interested from your experience, because there was only 4 or 5 people in front of me, so very short. However, Global Entry had the same booth. So as soon as somebody from Global Entry was coming, he or she was cutting in front of Mobile Passport.
Yeah.
So the 4 or 5 people ended up being, it was still 10 minutes. It's really fine. When I saw the queue on the other side, right? So I was like, it's just interesting that it's one single booth, and Global Entry gets like directed directly, and we have, as Mobile Passport, non-Global Entry, have to wait until the Global Entry queue clears, or there's a gap.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm just saying, it was interesting. But it saves me a lot of time, so no one uses it, please, so we can still enjoy short queues. Please. short queues. And then I had to wait, of course. I had to check my bag because I was staying almost 2 weeks, and priority bags do not come first.
They do not.
Another comparison between JFK and Heathrow. That's when I spent 2 weeks, and I met Jean Reno and Barbara Corcoran and everything. It was really a nice 2 weeks.
Super cool.
The return, because I had to do that train to Ukraine, I took a day flight. So meaning leaving in the morning, which is rare. I think there's only one from BA that leaves in the morning.
I've only ever done that once.
Yeah, because I don't want it to be the overnight, and then because basically I had to leave on Sunday. There was a Saturday, so it's a day flight. The only issue, of course, I needed to wake up at like 3 a.m. to catch my flight. I arrived at T8, and maybe because I was tired, it was night. I had these kind of echoes of the curbside is an unloading and loading zone only, and red zone. And like I'm in an airplane movie right now. I was hearing these voices. It was pretty empty at that time of the day. It was very early. The premium checking, everything was empty. So it was, I was flying premium economy. The checking, it was a Greek lady. So of course she immediately understood I was Greek, started chatting me in Greek. That put me in a great mood. Actually, I was not awake. I didn't have a coffee at that time yet. The security, although it was empty, was still messy and slow. They don't have new machines. I don't know if lately, do they have new machines now? Right, no. Yeah. So, it felt they had some new machines, but it didn't seem to make anything faster anyway. Greenwich, I have it's fine.
Yeah, interested. I could tell by your face when I was describing it. I would be so.
It used to be the Admirals Club, right? It's exactly where the AA Admirals Club was. I like it. And it was empty at that point of the day. It's okay. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. It's fine. It's fine. Honestly, it's fine. I didn't have there was because it was empty, I could see, the lampshades were all like sideways and not put back together.
That's it. Yeah.
I was like, what? There's no one. This should be clean. And it was okay. It's newer than the ones, for instance, at Heathrow. So, of course, the stuff is newer, the tables and the sofas. And so, no, it's good. I didn't have any views, however, because it was still nighttime. So the only view we had was of ourselves, because of the lighting, the glass was reflecting ourselves. I was like trying to look outside. I was looking my, pushy face from the morning, and I was like, oh my God. No, it's a fine. Maybe the reason, and it's not you, when I read, it was my first time, man. So when I read...
It was your first time?
Yeah. So when I read all these reviews about how great it is, and I enter it, I'm like, I was expecting probably a bit more, but it's nice. I know there's a better, if you have gold, whatever, there's another lounge at Chelsea, whatever. Yeah. And I was in a configuration that is probably rare because there's no other flights. So basically we were alone in that. Only the people with access for that single flight were allowed in. So it was really empty. So it should have been nice, and it was just nice. I expected it to be better, basically. But maybe, look, I'll go back in November, and I'll tell you, maybe I'll have a different view. And maybe I was very tired because I didn't have my coffee. As soon as that was my first coffee in the lounge. And then 777-200ER again, but this time dash VIIF, so that doesn't work. VIF. I'm like, oh no, I wanted the VVIP that I had before. This time, this flight was from 1997, so it was 27 years old. However, I was in premium economy. I'd received an alert, interestingly. I was booked in 20A, which is the bulkhead seat from premium economy. And I receive operational change. We need to move you in 20K, which is fine because it's also bulkhead on the other side. The reason was interesting. Service dog.
Oh, did they tell you that?
Yes, they told me that. So she needed, the she is because I saw her. The message didn't tell me. But yeah, the person needed a service dog, and thus they had movie. But it's nice that they had movies still in bulkhead. You don't have to pay anything to have bulkhead on Prim Economy for B. At least I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure now. But they kept my bulkhead because it's nice. You still have a little bit. You've done Prim Economy, right? In bulkhead.
Yes. Yeah.
You have a little bit more.
Yeah.
Leg room, right? Especially because the seats in Prim Economy at BA, they're not self-contained. So if you're below and somebody reclines, even though it's okay, as a tall person to extricate yourself from premium economy, especially if you have a window, like because we like windows, and there's a stranger next to you, you're like, oh my God. It's like, so I was very happy to be there. I think the only thing that was really interesting, the person next to me, she was a very nice lady. She probably brought, and I'm not kidding, 20 newspapers. And you know how the Saturday, the weekend newspapers, how thick they can be.
Extra thick, yeah.
Yeah, she had like the whole overhead bin full of newspapers. And she would grab 2 or 3, start reading them, and they were like in front of like the put to her feet. I didn't care. She was really not bothering me or anything, but I was like, and the trick, and you know it, but the trick is obviously if you're in bulkhead, you use the little table, the cot, as your big table for the both passengers. So there's a cot area because that's where you put the baby. There's a table that expands from the wall, and maybe it's not all aircraft. In the 777-200ER, there was a. I'm not talking here about our tray table, which is attached at this point to our seat because we're in bulkhead. There's a table that comes down from the wall and is where you actually put the cot on top of, and I wanted to open it, but because it takes both spaces, clearly she was also like someone who's been traveling, so she knew that we looked at each other. Do you want to? Yeah, let's open it, and we both so we could both expand, have our drinks and stuff in the middle there. That was a very nice flight.
I've done that dance.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to overstep by opening something that could disturb her or your next. It was very nice. The crew, and that's because to the point we made before. The crew, so maybe they were not as well trained, premium economy compared to business. She was a young Chinese, Hong Kong Chinese. My God. I mean, when I say she was not well trained, she was not the best trained, is that clearly she was still a bit rough on the edges. Mm-hmm. However, the level of enthusiasm, the level of generosity, the level of attentiveness, of presence, and I was like, this is baffling. She was amazing, man. I was like, this is much better than Severus and BA Business. Exactly what you thought. Okay, maybe that was premium economy as opposed to your economy experience, but I was like, wow. She was amazing. And she was smiling all the time, and she was so eager. This is why I said she was rough on the edges, but clearly she had just, graduated or something from BA, flight attendant school, however you call that.
Yeah.
But she was so cool and so eager to want to make people happy. And I was like, my God, this is the kind of person I want to see in first class, man. I was impressive. Absolutely impressive.
And you can smooth out those rough edges.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
If the base kind of enthusiasm and attitude is there, no problem. You can figure that out.
Yeah, 100%. Please, guys, the reason I said that was not to criticize, to say that with that level, she can go much further. She needs to end up in first class, or she's amazing. She was, I forgot, sadly, I didn't write down her name, but she wow. I was like, this is baffling. This is better than what I have on Qatar Airways, man. I mean, it was like, wow, she had that level of wanting to be there and wanted to everything to be. Was she perfect? No, but nobody is. I'm not. You're not. Doesn't matter. I was happy. She made my flight a happy one.
That's great. It's so much about personality, isn't it?
Yeah. I was baffled in a good way. It was. And to end this, we land, and there was a lovely message in the PA. The pilot comes on and he says, "I can take any credit for flying us. I was just sitting to watch Pilot Tiffany for captaincy, and she just was successful." So the whole aircraft went into applause. Woo! Everybody was wooing, and she earned her 4 stripes. And she was waiting at the door. She was the one. She was greeting the passengers. Of course, she was a bit almost not embarrassed, but because she had a lot of attention, everybody was congratulating her. Her 4 stripes, and it was fantastic.
That's wonderful.
We were like, "Oh, well done, kudos, bravo!" Like, imagine, however, 200 plus passengers coming in, said every single passenger said that.
Great.
That's lovely, man.
Yeah, what a neat experience.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the BA I want to see more.
Me too.
Right?
And they're clearly capable of.
Yes, clearly they are. Just that they're missing a few pieces here and there. Let's see. Otherwise, of course, no gate at Heathrow. Then the train, the little train would not move. Why did I opt for the train not walking like you do as well? I was like, I'm back to this country with beautiful infrastructure. No, Callum, I'm kidding a bit. So, before we move on, what are your current thoughts about that BA Great Bake Off British Flying Club thing? So far, is there a difference? And do you think you're going to go somewhere with it? Or
there's no, the only conclusion I've drawn is that I will never requalify for any kind of status with BA. Therefore, I am now looking at other options for going places, which is rather liberating. It's opened me up to some new airlines and new experiences. So yeah, it's definitely made me not look at BA as a matter of habit, if you will.
Same. Although I still have that, like for November, flying to the US, what should I fly with? It's surprisingly cheap, reasonable, it's not cheap, to fly to the US. And I'm like, I could fly to Munich to fly the Allegris, the new business class from, which doesn't have that many great reviews, but I'm like, just so we can talk about it on the podcast. And then I still have in my head, but if I fly with, maybe I'll have points on. I still haven't completely let go from that.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Right.
I've done the math though, and I'm.
Yeah, for me,
I'm
no
okay.
way.
Now, where I am in my renewal year, I know it's just not happening.
Yeah, me too. It's not happening. Bronze, I don't even think so, to be honest with you. I've flown too many different things, and I've flown. This is what I'm come to now. Also, we didn't say, but you need to do all these qualifying segments with BA.
Yes.
The thing is, before we could qualify with one well, now it's exclusively on BA metal, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's like 50 segments for silver or something.
Yeah,
and Iberia, by the way, started doing the same. If you want, because Iberia's status is slightly easier to get than BA's. They've done the same thing, revenue-based. It's also like a number of exclusive in Iberia, which, I mean, you and me, of course, will never happen. So that restricts you a lot, actually. So between that and the spend, there's no way.
Yeah, no chance.
For people like us.
No chance.
I'm sure some people will be able, and very happy for you guys, but I don't think... and I think Iberia counts the taxes into your...
Oh, okay. Well, that's a bit different because especially out of here,
I think it's for gold is 20,000 euros. Whereas for gold in the UK is 20,000 pounds, but then you add the taxes and you get to 25,000 in actual spend, right, to hit that target. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's difficult, guys. If you have another view on that, and you think that it's that you're going to qualify for gold guest list, please come on the podcast and tell us how you fly every 3 seconds with BA aircraft, because that's not going to happen to us. I think. If you want to get gold on Iberia, I think they call it plateau, you need to fly 90 qualifying segments. I mean, you fly every 4 days or something, right?
Yeah, ridiculous.
So, to that, we both did the EasyJet Plus card when they offered us kind of a status match. There's no status on EasyJet, but they gave us that card half price. Man, it works. And it made me want to fly more with EasyJet because I've experienced it once or twice. So for little benefit for you guys, if you don't know what it is, you get a card. There's no status, no tier points, no Avios, no nothing on EasyJet. But you get fast track boarding, fast track security in available airports. There's then 40 airports in Europe when you have that. You have speedy boarding, which means you kind of a group one situation with EasyJet. And you get a carry-on, because now carry-ons on EasyJet you need to pay more. You have the right to have your backpack if you want something you can put under the seat, but to use the overhead bins you have to pay. So that's included in as a benefit. And the last but not least, very good benefit, you don't have to pay for extra legroom seats, whether they are first row or emergency exit. So all in all, for me, and they say they even have a calculator. If you're ever interested, guys, you have a calculator. Now the status match thing with BA has run out, but you can still buy it, I think, for 200 and something quid. Sorry. They have a calculator on the website. It shows how many times you're going to fly with EasyJet, and at what point it makes sense for you.
It's a good way of doing it.
Recuperate. Yeah, exactly. Man, I've flown 4 or 5 times. I'm going to fly another 6, 7. I'm going to end up flying at least 15 times, 16 times with going segments here with EasyJet this year. It's amazing because I can go to Gatwick not last minute, but with less time to spare. And I can get my emergency exits on my front row, and it's pretty good. I mean, of course, there's no bells and whistles besides that. So this is why I chose to fly EasyJet to go to Athens. I was going there for work from Gatwick North, like always, when you do these things, you're very happy to book a flight at 7 a.m. And then you're like, oh my God, I need to wake up at 3 because I need to take the train at 4. And oh my God. It was on it was on a Sunday at 5 a.m. The airport was a zoo already. It was like, oh my God. With so many people. But you know what? It was so fast from train station, so Gatwick train station, to that shuttle train that gets you to the other terminal, to security, which is amazing. It was so fast. Fast track or not that fast track, but I mean, I don't think at this point, fast track, I could get you much faster than the normal one, because the normal one goes also very fast. To the gate, which Flighty had ahead of time, with a pit stop at the coffee place to get just a coffee caffeinated. I think it took me like all that 20 minutes.
Wow.
It's amazing. It was, it's just like, I don't have to, I was even too early. I could have, for those who don't know, I leave for a train station called Clapham Junction. The trains in the mornings until 5 a.m., there's only one train an hour. So I had to take the train at 4:17 or something. And I arrive at 5 at the airport, which in the end ended up to being too early because I made only 20 minutes to get to the gate. I was like, I could have arrived at 6 and still make the flight. I don't think I would take the risk. But
No. Well, exactly. Per our infrastructure comments. But yeah, no, that's pretty amazing. That airport, for all of its faults, does work.
Yeah, it works. It spits out people. That's the thing I like. It's just fast. I've flown it. I'm not probably never going to talk about it on this podcast unless I do one day like a compound of all the flights I've done from Gatwick lately. But it's just fast. No surprises. Always works. Now that they have the new machines and security, everything, it's just fast.
Game changer.
Take the bus, of course, with some nice views and, sun rising. It was really nice. It was a 320 from 2012. We sit down. As soon as we sit down, the pilot comes on the PA. We have a delay because there's traffic restriction from Athens, more than 90 minutes. Flighty was telling me this already. And I went online and I could see that basically they were not allowing planes to land at Athens. I haven't looked it up what happened, but something must have happened. So everybody was waiting wherever they were coming from the world. The mess was there, nothing to do with Gatwick, nothing to do with EasyJet. Oh, well, I was standing in 1C, so the AL front row. It had been an aircraft change because it was supposed to be a 319. And I know it's detailed, but for someone who was told is important. The reason I chose 1C, just by 1A and 1B were already taken, by the way, guys. The reason I chose the front row on a 319, on 319 front row with EasyJet, there's no separation. So you can really have your feet go.
Oh, yeah, right all the way up to the
You have to basically the door in front of you. On the 320, there's a wall, but still it's nice. You have a little bit of more leg room. Your feet can go, sideways, and you expand in the aisle because nobody was moving for the whole time we were waiting on the ground. Look, it was fine. I had like some content on my iPhone. I had my headphones. I started watching stuff. We had taken some water, whatever, with me. So it was really fun. Then we took off. I took one of their sandwiches, the buy on board type of thing. It was good. And the flight was 3 hours and 30 minutes, and I didn't see the time pass. And, that's exactly what I wanted. So I was very happy with EasyJet. Everything was perfect. The fun bit, and because I told you the story already, because it never happened to me before. We arrive, we, taxi. It's not a big taxi at Athens airport. And suddenly the pilot comes on the PA and starts babbling something about the park space for a 320. And we're all looking at each other. What did he just say? And then he comes back and says, "Ground, did you copy?" And the entire aircraft erupts. "Yeah, we all copy." And everybody's laughing because, everybody's happy to be on holidays probably because it's EasyJet flight on a Sunday. Of course, the guy was actually talking to ground, but mistook and pressed the wrong button and talked to the aircraft. The reason is we learned because he told us, then he came back, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I pressed the wrong button. I was talking to ground," because we were supposed to be a 319 and we're a 320 and the park in front of me is made for a 319 and he was asking ground to make some alteration for the aircraft to be to go on its final park space. But the funny bit is he was saying that to us all. So it's really, has it never happened to you?
No, it's never happened to me. I've heard lots of stories about it happening, but I always thought, maybe it's on wide bodies, or maybe it's only on Boeings, that the announcements were made on the phone that the cabin crew use to talk to, and there's a PA button on the one in the flight deck too. So I was like, how the hell do you screw that up? But it's clearly happens enough times where either on Airbus or some narrow body or whatever, it's this button versus this button. So I would love to. I need to look into that a little bit more to see
Yes.
see what the button is.
Yeah, I haven't, but it was a really, and again, that's probably the good thing with holiday flights, that people are in a good mood in general, so people were laughing. And then the pilot stood in front of his door when we were leaving, so we all made jokes about it. Like I copied, and he was banter, but in a good way. That's what I love, that kind of stuff.
Me too.
And it often happens with EasyJet. The pilots are usually relatively young and kind of nonplussed, and it was really, really fun. I arrived. I'll make that short because it's not the point of the story I want to tell you. At the satellite terminal, it's a Sea Gates at Athens, which I've never done, which tells you I've usually flown Aegean or Swiss or BA to Athens. We come at the more reachable gates A and gates B, and gate C is a terminal. It's been there always. It's been built as part of the airport when it was built back in 2001. But it's satellites, and then you walk, and I think the walk is longer than from T2A to T2B at Heathrow. You walk and you walk. There are travelators, and you walk and you walk. You walk a straight line. The advantage is, unlike Heathrow, you don't go up and down, but it takes forever to get to
God.
But it's nice, and I know this is going to change thanks to a new deal between the UK and Europe, but it was still a time when basically the entire aircraft went to do passport control in a queue, and I was like, hello, bye-bye. So I was the first one. So I was like literally...
So envious.
Yeah, that's changing. As I said, they have some agreements in our countries will more and more introduce e-gates.
Thank
for
goodness.
Brits. Yeah, exactly. Which is really nice. So I was in Athens for a few days for work. I was there with journalists that we organized something. This is why I have this T-shirt. Raoul, this company organized a tour of the startup ecosystem of Athens with journalists from Le Monde, Figaro, Les Echos, and others to discover the Greek ecosystem. And I was part of them. I helped them. And as part of the trip, we did something. So they wanted to meet startups. Yeah, they wanted to meet early stage startups. They wanted to meet like bigger startups, etc. What you do when you want to have a whole coverage. They even met the prime minister.
Oh, wow.
I was not invited because I was not media. I was like, I'm a layovers. You know that? Do you know about that? Oh, my God. So no, it was fine. I was able to have coffee instead, which I was very happy, frappe. So as part of it, one of a guy I know, Dimitris, sold his company, was in maritime tech, like everybody does in Greece, because it's the biggest flag for big ships. He did like a startup, sold it, and his new startup is called Flyhopper. Is a helicopter startup. And so I said, do you want to try? Yeah, well, of course I want to try.
What kind of question is that?
So what we did, we took off, and I'll explain a little bit of business model. It's not a point to do an advertising for them, but we took off with 3 helicopters, all the journalists plus us, me, non-journalists, with their helicopters from Athens to Kea, which is an island southeast of Athens, about 15 minutes flight time to go for lunch. And then we came back with our helicopters. That was really nice. So they are... The business, and I'll come to the flight itself. The business model is basically they want to, and they are, because David Beiser?
Yes.
He's going to use them in a month or two to go from Santorini to Anafi. So you can use it already. It's been up for a year. The point they want to make helicopter rides affordable. As in, usually when you wanted to have a helicopter, it's very expensive. It's very baller to fly from Athens to an island, man.
Yeah.
Here, they really want, because they have a lot of scheduled flights, they have their own helicopters, but they also have subcontractors, so other existing helicopter companies in the islands, in this case, because we're talking about Greece. And you have like hops everywhere, hence the hopper. Hopper, fly hopper, not 2 P's, 1 P. And you can book, and they are really reasonable, man. I looked, some of the flights you're going, and they're like 80 quid. And you fly for 20 minutes, and not, the usual 300 or like 1,000. In my case, it was a Flyhopper, their own helicopter. Because we weren't many, and because we didn't go on the app and booked our own flight, My helicopter didn't fly from Athens airport, which it usually do, which I regret a little bit. I would have loved doing for once, taking off from the general aviation terminal to Athens airport and see all the big aircrafts and, with the helicopter. I departed at their engineering base, which is not far from the airport actually, but it was still very, very cool. I was in a Robinson R66.
Great.
All red. It was all red. It felt like, a Ferrari from Magnum PI. And the other one was, the other journalists were, because there were two helicopters from that point, the other one departed from Athens. They were in a Robinson R44, so there was one seat less. It was all gray. It felt like a Airwolf. It was really, really nice. Anthracite gray, it was really fantastic, man. And it's cool. It's cool that you can allow. I will use them. I'll come to that in a bit. I had booked a ferry to go from an island to another. That's the point of the story. I was like, I should have just taken the helicopter because instead of doing 40 minutes in a ferry, I could have done 5 minutes in a helicopter. And the price was not that different. It was actually even cheaper to fly the helicopter. And I was like, yeah. And of course, you cannot bring massive suitcases or whatever. It's more like for, you need to be someone who flies like normal people with a carry-on. But yeah, it's a pretty cool service. So the flight itself was, have you flown in the Robinson ever?
I have, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it was, it's already hot summer in Greece. We're talking here about 10 days ago, guys. It's really already hot. Inside, man, it's hot because, there's a little bit of...
It's basically a greenhouse.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bit of AC. I put in in a lot of brackets. But the guy says, hey, you have a little trap door on the side. I was sat in the back in the first flight because, the two other people, there were two journalists actually with me. They had never flown a helicopter. So I'm like, guys, you need to go in the front. You need to see it. I've done it. I've been lucky to have it. So I'm not going to push my, say, I need to be in the front because I'm taller. I'm like, I'm happy to sit in the back. But there was a little trap door, which is basically on the seat height, like when your ass is. And you can open it. So not only first good thing, it creates a little bit of airflow. So because when you're in air, that's only it refreshes the cabin. I was like, I'm happy. But also, I put my camera, my Leica out. Of course, you have to hold it quite. And I took some pictures from there. It was really cool, man. So it was really that trap door was really fantastic. The pilot was named Philippos, lovely guy. There were two other pilots because there were 3 helicopters in total. It was Emily from Norway. I was like, you're not Greek. You're blonde with blue eyes. You're like my mother. She was like, 22-year-old from Norway. She decided to come in Greece and be a pilot for hopping between islands. It's so cool.
Hey, why not?
And of course, they all dress up like they're pilots, right? They're not in T-shirt. And the last one, whom I sadly forgot the name, was an ex-military. So at lunch, I was sat next to him and we talked about his helicopter experience and asked him, what was your favorite helicopter that you ever piloted? Chinook.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know that Greece had, I think, 10. And he was telling me the list of all because he had done like a long helicopter military carrier. And he was maybe like in the 40s and he decided to quit the army and become like a private pilot. And And I was like, how does that compare with Robinson? He was smirking like, okay, fine. It must not be the same. Anyway, to move on, one anecdote on the way back, we had headsets, obviously. We could talk to each other, talk to the pilot. Not that we did a lot. We didn't want, you don't want to bother the pilot. We started chatting. But we could hear tower. And we're talking tower, we're talking Athens airports, right? They're the same ones who are directing, because of course we're entering Athens air traffic zone. And there was 2 aircraft at the same altitude, and I was hearing tower berating one of them, like clearly one was authorized and one was not. And it basically ended up with, here's a report and a phone number to call.
Oh, yeah.
But I heard it live.
Wow.
And I could see the 2 others, not AV geeks. They were like, but what just happened? And the pilot explained, said, okay, so one aircraft was in, and I had understood simply because, I'm a geek like that, but it was really funny. They were like, is that dangerous? The guy's like, yeah, no, they probably were not that close. And because, but yeah. So that happens as well. It's interesting, however, last comment on that, it's interesting how they mix, and I'm sure it's in France the same, Germany, they mix Greek and English. Like most of the communications are in English, obviously. Sometimes you can hear Greek between because it's a Greek pilot, I guess, or something. And I always wondered, it's of course it's normal. I hear French ATC does that. I hear like Japanese ATC do that, whatever. But if you're a third party, you cannot understand what's being said. Probably means that it's not important because otherwise you still want to hear. Anyway.
So did you have to wear life jackets or anything like that since you were over water?
No.
See, that's interesting to me.
We had the proper safety, the pilot itself, there's no like safety video or like a flight attendant or whatever, right?
No.
He gave us it says, okay, this is that, this is the headset, this is where you sit, this is the belt, which is, the 4-point belt actually, a 4-point belt, and this is where your life jacket is, and this is how you use it, and this is the door, this is how you open it, this is how it should always be locked in flight, don't touch that button. I mean, it was a proper, not like a just, random, it was a proper safety briefing, but no life jacket.
That's interesting. I know that to cross the channel in a light aircraft, including a helicopter, you have to wear them.
Oh, really?
And I know that when we flew a Robinson in Ishigaki, we also had to wear them. But that might be just either the company's preference or obviously local laws are different as well.
Was it because you were filming in your case and maybe you had open doors or something? No?
Perhaps, yeah.
Because we didn't have open doors. I wish we had open doors. I told him, can we have open doors? And he looked at me like, well, but the two others, no way.
Yeah.
Plus on a Robinson, you have basically to remove the door. But
you do have to, exactly, yeah. That's interesting. Probably that, yeah.
Yeah, it's... I will use them. Fly Hopper. I will use them again, probably in the future. And again, not because he ends up being a friend who did it. I didn't know he was doing it. There are two Dimitris, actually. The other one, the co-founder, is also Dimitris. But because when I was looking at the price on flyhopper.com, I was like, this is actually reasonable. This is something, I was asking him at lunch, I was like, so the business model, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what is, still not revealed, whatever. So I'm not going to go too long on that. But I was like, what's your market? It was like, obviously, if you pay a flight that comes for £10 to come, $10, the super cheap flight to come up to Athens, he doesn't expect passengers like that, people like that, to then take a helicopter to the island. Mm-hmm. But at a price of sometimes 80 or 100 for the time you gain, if you can do that with a helicopter, maybe for some people, it's reasonable. I'm not saying it's dirt cheap, but it's reasonable.
The service in Nice airport to Monaco is invaluable. I've taken it a couple of times for work because there's only one road. It's a crappy road. It's always backed up.
Yeah.
And it's a sensible model of pricing where it's like it's not cheap, but it's super worth it if you've ever done
Blade in New York.
I wish I'd known about this because I'm going to Greece next month with the kids.
No way.
Yeah. I don't know if they go that far though, from Athens to Rhodes.
Both or directly?
We're just going to Rhodes, but if we could get from Athens to Rhodes on a helicopter, it would have saved me a fortune.
I mean, check it out, guys. And they will expand, and there will be more stuff coming, which I cannot talk about. But it's a lovely service and lovely guys actually doing it. A lot of people, of course, Greece doing tourist startups because actually there's a market for that. And David, that Alex knows as well. I didn't tell him about this. He didn't know the founder. He didn't just looked at a way to go from one island to the other. And the island is going to, there's not a daily ferry system. So he found that by Googling, like, oh, this is cool. Oh, this is not that expensive. Oh, I'm going to use it.
Yeah, so why not?
It's clearly something that is, guys, look it up. Then after working, I wanted to take some vacation, like Alex will do in a month to Rhodes. I said, I haven't done islands in a long while, man. And there's a reason for that. Maybe you have the same with Hong Kong, with your childhood memories. I have the Greece in my head on the islands and on the beaches is the Greece that I knew 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's sacred. Yeah. Right.
And it's the little taverna, and it's taking the long ferries, we were driving there was no EasyJet by the day. We were driving all the way down to Italy for 15 hours and then taking the ferry to go to Patras in the Peloponnese, in the south of Greece, and then we're driving some more to meet some friends, and sometimes we'll take a ferry to go to further islands. And there was, of course, less tourism, just the way of the world, and of course, big eyes from a kid. And I always wanted to avoid confronting that to the reality of maybe too many tourists and the modern world of, Wi-Fi everywhere and influencers. But I said, look, I'm in Athens. With my better half, we usually do holidays in Italy in June. I said, look, I'm already in Athens. Just join me and we'll do an island. And she had never done Santorini. So the island, which is the most over-touristed, maybe along with Mykonos, I'm like, you know what? Let's go 2 days and then we move on to a quieter island. So she went directly long story, but she works in Switzerland, but lives in London. So she was flying from Switzerland, direct flight to Santorini. And I was in Athens. I said, okay, I need to join her. Didn't know about the helicopter. I already had booked my flight. Out of timing reason only, I decided to fly Aegean because there's Ryanair, there's low cost as well. But the timing, I wanted to basically time our arrival at the same time that she would arrive at her flight. So we'd be there at the same time. And it was an early flight, like 10 a.m. flight. I said early because the night before it was a celebratory party from the end of our work thing. And I finished at probably 5 a.m. I woke up at 6:30, no, 7, too late actually, because I didn't miss my alarm clock, but I said, I can have 20 more minutes, negotiating with yourself. And then I'm like, oh shit. Thank God, I had only a backpack for all this. It was very quick to put my stuff back in the back. I took a cab, and Greek taxi drivers on that stretch of the highway from the airport to the city, or from the city to the airport, tend to drive fast. I, of course, have the only taxi driver that doesn't drive fast. And I'm like, is that the speed limit, however? So I cannot tell him go faster because I'm like, is that the speed limit? But usually they go like way above the speed limit. I'm like, I'm still not thinking I'm going to miss my flight, but I'm like, I'm cutting it short. So of course it's a domestic flight, so I don't have. And the good thing in that was not prepared. The good thing is because it's Aegean and because I'm silver on miles and more, I have fast track. So I'm like, okay, we arrive at the airport, I dash fast track because I'm silver, and I arrive at the gate at the mid-boarding, so I'm fine. So it was fine. I was tired as hell, but it was fine. It was a 320 from 2008. I had an emergency seat. It was all good. I think I've gotten I'm not kidding, 6 SMS and emails about upgrade challenge. Do I want to upgrade? I'm like, I'm not going to upgrade to business class on a 40-minute flight.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how long that flight was.
Yeah, 45 minutes. Not even. 40 minutes maybe. That's just flight time. So yeah, well, and emergency was good. And I was looking out, you can see the sea and the islands and going down. So it's wonderful. The airport of the day, JTR, Santorini Airport. So have you ever been there?
No.
I had never been to the airport. I hadn't been when I was a kid to the island, but it's an airport from the 70s with a recent refurb. I'm going to talk more about it on the way out, but it's really not big. So we stop with the aircraft, with the EasyJet, the Aegean 320. We walk outside, short walk, and there's some mess inside, and I'm outside. It was really fast. It felt like one of these islands airport. So it was really nice. I had ordered another shout out because it's a very good tip for some of you. In some islands, Santorini is one. Santorini is an island that is not big. Last year, there was more than 6 million visitors. I forgot, like a massive number of visitors. Sure. There's only 40 cabs, 40 taxis.
Wow.
So to find a taxi, Athens is fine, but some other islands, it's really tough. There's a service, it's a startup as well, but it's been existing for a while, called Welcome Pickups. There's an app, but you can do it online, where you can basically pre-book cars to take you from the airport to a hotel to a restaurant. It's like a pre-book service. It's nothing special. It's for hire cars. They are usually vans. That, for the two of us, it was a little bit overkill. But the good thing is that they're always there, and they monitor whether it's your flight or your ferry. So they will wait. If your flight is delayed, they will wait. If your ferry is delayed, they will wait. Welcome Pickups. It's actually great for the peace of mind. You can probably find cheaper. It's not expensive. You can probably find cheaper, but I recommend that to use in Greece, especially in Santorini, probably in other islands that are very touristed. So we took that and go to the hotel. I wanted to do it. I'm not going to do it today. Last episode, you were not with me. I went to Japan, as you know, and I saw there was a lot of tourists, unlike before. Yeah. And I was like, I want to at some point, do a little commentary about so-called over-tourism. But let's wait for me to go to Santorini to talk about, because if you look at videos of Santorini, it's madness.
Nuts, yeah.
It's really madness. The island, the nice bit, the island, the part that is on the cliffs is that what everybody wants to see, because that's the striking part of the island. There's like tiny winding roads for pedestrians, and like you have queues and queues and queues. Well, I'm like, where is everybody?
Oh.
I'm like, it's early season, but there's no such thing anymore as early season, because everybody wants their travel. Maybe not the families, they wait for the school holidays. But actually what happened, and I clocked it, but never thought, there has been an earthquake near the island of Santorini, maybe in, what was it, May? I forgot. And I asked, the people at the hotel, the restaurants, I speak Greek, so people canceled. They got afraid. There's minus 40% visitors right now. People thought, it was the end of the world, the island's going to crumble. The island itself, Santorini, is a result of a volcano crumbling on itself. And people decided not to go. So I got very lucky, basically, because Santorini was empty.
Wow.
Which was the Santorini of my childhood.
Oh, so that's lovely then, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, earthquake.
I mean, no wait at any restaurants, no need to book anything, just walk. Maybe Oya. Oya is the northern part of the island, which is maybe the most postcard-ready part of Santorini. There was a little bit more people. It's a little bit more posh. You see a few, like, your Chanel and whatever. But also very okay. I wanted to have a drink there. Let's go. Oh, yeah, there's places. Just sit down. Whereas it's impossible usually. So I got lucky. So I'm not going to do... Not this time anyway, plus we're running out of time. I'm not going to do commentary on over-tourism because I didn't have any over-tourism.
Experience it, yeah.
So I got very, very lucky. I still had a few influencers. You cannot escape nowadays. I mean, there was a couple of girls that were taking pictures. They had like this empty bottle of Dom Perignon and taking bottles of the infinity pool. And I'm thinking, are they traveling with an empty bottle of Dom Perignon to all their destinations to take a picture of a glamour destination? Anyway,
that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, but it's a bit, I took the bus. I was surprised because bus services also had the grease of my childhood. I'm like, it's not going to be on time. I'm not going to have breaks. I'm going to end up in the sea. No, it's modern coaches with just nice seats, air conditioned. It's very cheap, €2. The one thing that you would find horrible in Santorini, and thank God there were not that many at that time, were the cruise ships.
Yeah. Ugh.
I was told there are some cruise ships where like there's 10,000 people coming on one cruise. Oh my God. Really? Anyway, we wanted to, after doing 2 days, wanted to escape, and we went to Ios, which is an island just northwest of Santorini. During the summer, this is the island you want to go to if you are at uni, because it's a party island. But in June, it's still quiet, which is why we chose it. I would have not chosen it in July or in August. If that's your thing, it's really fun because it's cheaper. I always say to people, if you want to go to Greece, you want to find a cheaper version of Greece, you take an island where has an airport, and then you move to the next island. It's going to be cheaper because there's no airport, because most people are too lazy to take a ferry to the next island, right? So,
clever.
The reason I want to mention this is we took a high-speed craft. When I was young, they were called Flying Dolphin, but the Flying Dolphin was just a brand name. These are these catamaran-style high-speed ferries, and they're planes on the water.
Yeah.
They're just incredible. The one we took was called Euro Champion Jet. They all have these names, man. 1,200 people, something like that. 140 cars. It goes at 50 knots, man.
Wow.
I think it's one of the fastest in the world for that category, if I may say. So first, I'm going to geek out like the same way we do with planes. We use Plane Finder or Flight Radar 24. Mm-hmm. If you're into that thing, there's an app called Marine Traffic.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
You know that. Right? So I was like, where is my boat? So I knew from Seajets is the company. I knew that the boat was delayed, which is fine. But I wanted to see where it is exactly. And you can track the boat coming towards you. That's also when I realized that the update from the company is like, there's no way the boat is in 10 minutes here. It's still like freaking far. So I was like, let's have another coffee or whatever. And then close to the memories of my childhood, because then you all wait in a kind of a disorderly queue. And then the this super fast ferry comes and it starts turning around on itself with the engines like roaring because it's turning on itself, backing to the pier, like super fast. And then at the last minute, I guess the captain puts all the engines forwards to not hit the pier. So you see like, you have this smell of jet fuel, man, because it's not jet fuel, obviously.
Yeah.
And you have smoke and you have big waves. And suddenly like they open these back trap, they're like doors that open like for cars, like ramps, like 2 ramps opening. And as soon as a ramp opens, you see a ton of people on the right-hand side ramp going out, and they shout at us, go, go, go. And the turn, that was the final destination, Santorini. Then he would go back to Athens, over 4 stops on the way. The whole turn took maybe 6 minutes between everybody going out, and it's like people go, and it's all in a very, there's no stress, everybody, it's holiday time, but it's just, the operation is just incredible. And as soon as you are on the ramp, walking, you have the sense of the jet fuel and you see the engines. And the thing is basically, they put the ropes, of course, they tow it, so it's moored to the pier. But you feel that this jet wants to leave, like it's like being stopped by these cords, by these ropes, sorry, and it moves and moves, and as soon you're not even in your seat, man, you enter through the car park basically, and there's like racks, you put your luggage there, wherever. And you go up, because otherwise there's stairs to go up. There's an elevator for people with disabilities or less mobility, but forget if you want to queue for that. So you go up. So that's why you don't take your luggage. You leave them on the racks and go up. We're not even going the first flight of stairs that we're gone. You can feel it, and the thing is going.
It's like the Star Ferry in Hong Kong, except a lot more complicated. Wow, that's so cool.
I love it. It's a bit of a zoo in a way, a mess, but in a good way. Fun atmosphere. The operation itself is incredible, how fast it will turn around. It's really, essentially for me, it's an aeroplane on water, shaped like a rocket. And inside, it feels like, think of a Boeing 747, man. I'm not kidding, because it's a single large deck filled with seats, and they're all airplane seats. All of them. All in the rows of airplane seats, one after the other. And then there's a second floor, which has the Club and Platinum, so of course people are one step above, but these all airplanes are like kind of very nice premium economy type of seat, like they're large, you have room, because some people spend 7-8 hours in them, right? I was only going for 40 minutes. And the first thing you do, the comparison with the aircraft, the first thing you do when you arrive at your seat, they tell you to read the safety card, and then you have the safety video. I can recap the safety video in 2 words. You swim.
Right. Yeah, you're limited options otherwise.
But they still, you have your safety jackets under the seat. It's exactly the same. Safety jacket is under the seat. And depending on your seat, like in some of these airlines, we have the safety, the jacket is under your seat or beside your seat, or the same. In economy, it's under your seat. In Club and Platinum, is in the side, and you have 2 different types of jackets. It's exactly. I'm in an aircraft, man, and it's already going super fast. And as a kid, when they entered service in the 90s, these we used to call them flying dolphins. I remember, because as a kid, we were going in these old ferries that would take forever, and these were introduced. Of course, usually they were built in the Nordics and then sold to Italians and then sold into Greece, and that's how we got them like 20 years later. They were pricier because they were going so much faster. Now, this is what you use, basically, right? And I'm going up, and I had booked, because I'm like that, I had booked club seats. They were only £10 more than the normal seat. I'm like, why not club seat?
Yeah.
It's going to be better.
See what it's like.
Yeah. And it's, it's a zoo. People are finding their seats, whatever. Plus, the numbering of the seats had nothing to do with aircraft. You are like 14E. I'm like, where is row 14? It is not row 14. It's line 14, and it's row E. So anyway, but I don't know all this. And I asked one of the staff, I'm like, club, upstairs. Okay. And then I arrive upstairs, and I said, club, right in front. Okay, so I go right in front. I enter, and the plane, see? The jet is already moving so much, and I'm like, let's sit down. Because it's accelerating, so it's better to sit down. And I sit, and I didn't realize I'm in Platinum already. I'm not in my class. It's empty. And for 40 minutes, I was like, you know what? Nobody's going to check. We're staying there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was nice. I don't think it's actually, guys. I don't think if you ever do one of these trips, you need to buy platinum. Maybe club, but even that, all the seats are very nice. There's bars and cafes in the ship and whatever. So it's really nice. You're not allowed to go outside. It's really sad because of course it goes too fast for safety reasons. Only when it's moored. Because I wanted to take some pics from outside, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
I wish I could. The windows are nice, but it goes so fast that you have droplets of water all the time because you have like the water coming from the waves. So anyway, they really fly over water.
That's gone on my bucket list. You've really sold it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And then, IOS, lovely R&R, doing nothing but reading, eating, drinking, swimming, and getting a tan. I still have a little bit of it, taking a lot of photos. And then the return, the same story with one of these boats. There's only one because it's a smaller island in terms of number of people, not in terms of size. So there's only one single pier. I have only 2 hours and 30 minutes between my arrival in Santorini and taking the flight from Santorini back to London.
Ooh.
So it's okay, but it's
tight.
I decided I wanted to stay as long as I could in the swimming pool and the sea. But then I learned, of course, on the way in, I got almost an hour delay with the boat. So I'm like, oh my God, I hope I don't get an hour delay. And it's coming from Athens and I'm tracking it, marine traffic. And there's a delay, of course. And I'm like, oh my God. And then there's another boat coming. You have to pay attention, guys, because if the other boat, I'm like, this is ours. No, it's not ours. The one goes to another destination. And there's no sign, nothing, man. There's no board like in this island.
Oh, yeah, I would find a way to screw that up.
But I know that my boat is coming in not even 10 minutes, and this boat is there taking the time. I know the turn is going to be fast. And then as soon as they finish boarding, one of the ramps in the back just won't go up. I can see us shouting in Greek, and they're like, bing, bing, with like hammer doing stuff and whatever. It takes 10 minutes, and just at the time when I can see my boat entering the port area, the ramp goes up, leaves. I'm like, oh God. So ours arrive, and they want to go even faster in the turn. I think the turn took 4 minutes between.
That's so incredible to me.
I was just baffled. It was the same bafflement as I have sometimes in an airport. The good thing is that you're outside, you're next to the sea, you're on a terrace, sipping a café frappé or coffee whilst you're waiting for your boat. So there's no security or something. So it's really better than an airport. The one thing that is very similar to an airport is my bafflement at some of the size of the luggages that people have with them. There's a new size of luggage. There's a tall one, the big one. And now they're almost square because as tall as they are wide and as they are thick. And I'm like, are you carrying your entire house? I know I'm being on my high horse right now, but I was like, oh my God, I only have a backpack. Anyway, the boat arrives and I'm like, oh shit, I only have now an hour and 40 minutes before my flight. An hour, 20 minutes before my flight. It's going to be really short, but we go. And then I had done welcome pickups that company I told you, so to do the pickup from Santorini port to the airport. The guy's there, he's waiting, as I told you, they're monitoring, so it's fine. He's going to be waiting. And as soon as I arrive at the port, EasyJet tells me, and Flighty tells me at the same time, oh, your flight is 20 minutes delayed. Like, yes, for once, I'm super happy that I'm delayed.
A cushion, yep.
How long does it take to go to the airport? Yeah, when there's traffic, it can be 40 minutes, but there shouldn't be so much traffic. It will take maybe 20. And I look at him and say, okay, he did it in 12. But there was not, again, less people, no real traffic.
Yeah.
I arrive at Santorini airport. I thought I had to dash, and there's nothing much to say about an airport, but it's tiny. I arrived there. I was checking in the the pickup. I was checking, does Santorini airport has fast track for EasyJet? No. So I was like, oh shit, like little things. But then I arrive and like, well, first of all, I don't know where is the fast track because there's one single lane of security anyway. And there's like 5 gates probably, and it's a single floor with a basement with 2 other gates, and basically it's so small that there's just no way if you're at the airport already you're going to miss it. But that's a warning for people who want to go in the summer. Maybe in the summer, if there are a lot of people, and it can be a lot of people, maybe not this year because of these earthquakes, that line of security must be super darn long. I arrived there was no one. I cleared security in under 30 seconds because they don't really care. I mean, they were not even watching what I was having in my bags. I mean, they were talking to each other. I was entering, like, whatever. And then, you look at a single building with 6 gates and 2 cafes and 1 little duty-free, and that's it. It's tiny. It's been refurbished in 2021, so it's pretty new. It's owned by my arch enemy, Frankfurt Airport. And it works. The problem is that it's tiny, so Even though we had like a few, there was a Wizz Air, I think, and a Ryanair flight. As soon as you have a queue in front of a gate, it takes up the entire freaking airport. So it's like a bit of a puzzle where you need to go, but it's fine. It's I would say do not go too early because then you have nothing to do. If you've been before 2021, there used to be a rooftop, which I was so eager to see, but they shut it down because of the refurb.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, but they have like big windows. The entire terminal gives on the runway and the apron. There's no jet bridges or whatever, right? So it's really nice because you can see planes departing, landing. You can see the sea in the seas in the backdrop.
Yeah, what more do you want?
They can handle 9 aircraft at the same time. So we're not talking big airport, right? It's really tiny.
Yeah. Wow.
And then so we go down to our gate, and I'm assuming because on the way in with Aegean I walked, I can see the EasyJet aircraft just there. Bus.
Ugh.
So they start boarding the speedy boarding, right? And the pen is like the size of a bathtub, like literally the size of one bathtub, maybe a jacuzzi. And we're like 120 people because everybody has speedy boarding nowadays, like locked in this thing because they want to probably, one of these things when they, like the same way we do in an airport and you stay in the bridge, they want to start the boarding, but we're like in the pen between the little checking machine when she's beep, you're allowed, and the door which leads us to the bus, but they don't want to allow us outside because it's too hot, which is fine. So we're all in there, and we're not 120 by the way, but we're still like we're crammed. And then they open the door, we go in the bus, and that's a good thing I will say. Even though we could have literally walked, it was right there. The bus was only for speedy boarding, so they truly separate speedy boarding from non-speedy boarding at EasyJet. But then we stay in the bus, and we basically they boarded too early because the plane wasn't ready, right? They would stay in the bus, and then the bus, that was welcome to Greece. The bus starts going, but doesn't close the doors. So this is
Oh God.
Greek air conditioning. So it goes at 0.2 kilometers an hour towards the airplane because probably the airplane is not ready, leaving the doors open. So we get some fresh air, which is nice. But I'm like, this is not health and safety at all with kids there. But I was laughing. I was like, it would never happen anywhere else. And slowly making our way to that EasyJet. And then we arrive in front of that 320 and it's still not ready clearly and was waiting in front of that forever. They leave the doors, of course, open. They tell us not to go. At least you have the jet fuel. So for people like us, we're like, okay, I appreciate that. And yeah, we finally entered and it was a 320 and we had an emergency exit and it was really nice. It was a 320 for 2018, I think. And it was one of these new seats, no recline, thinner on the back seat and a bit narrower probably. But it was all comfortable for a 4-hour flight. And I had my iPhone again for content and it was nice. And that's where the safety video says you can charge via your power bank, but please monitor your power bank and device temperature. That was one of the versions I said earlier. And and then at the end of JTR airport, you see the military base. It's also a military airport. It doesn't seem very active. It doesn't seem like a lot of broken roads. I don't know, but And the flight was nice, and it flew by, and then we arrive at Gatwick, and there's a jet bridge, but we have to use the stairs anyway, so I don't know, and everything. And but again, from leaving the aircraft to arriving at a train station, took me 18 minutes.
Yeah.
So
it works.
It just works. So I tried to capture the Greece from my childhood. I discovered a new fun Greece with doors that open that creates AC in business to an aircraft. I loved it.
Yeah, you're giving me a bucket list to do some island hopping in Greece.
Yeah, you should. It's fun. And these boats, what was it? I forgot the name. I think on the return it was called something else. They all have their Euro Champion was the one on the way in, and the Speedrunner. I love that name. It was not as fast, but Speedrunner and Speedrunner. I was 1F, and I'm like, 1F. I have the window. It was a club seat. No. 1F is on the side where there's no windows and there's like the wall and you're inside and it's really nice. You have like a menu, you can order stuff, but it's not Club Europe or something. But it's still very nice. Really, guys, do not misread my comments. It's still very nice. You should do that if you ever want to have a different experience from a flying over the sea aircraft. There you go. I was a bit
amazing.
Old. Sorry, as always.
No, well, fantastic.
I'm going to run the music while I ask you where's the music. Where are your next flights? You know where you're going? Agreed.
The only Rhodes is the next one on the certainly on the cards. Maybe something before, but I doubt it.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be also, usually I stay here in the summer, so I'm going to go twice to Switzerland. Once in Zurich to see friends, and once in Geneva to see friends. So it's going to be EasyJet. But I return, because, when you fly EasyJet in front of Gatwick, or any airport for that matter, on a weekend, I always check, planned engineering work. And there was no train from Gatwick on a return, so I'm taking Swiss to return. So maybe something there.
Very nice.
There you go. We'll do another one probably this summer with you at some point.
Definitely, yeah.
Because you have some. You said Turkish, so I want to learn. I'm sure our friend Hakan wants to see if you still like Turkish. On that, happy flying, guys.
Safe travels.